It is a cold winter day. While everyone should be inside sipping some tea, they gather around the winter mansion. It seems something interesting is happening there. It turns out a servant is being beaten by his master. The people around all point at him, laughing and calling him names. They have long since disliked him, always acting as if he is his master's favorite. Turns out he is just a toy to her. The owner of the servant, Evelyn Winter, is done beating him. She drops the whip and warns him never to speak to her again. But the boy doesn't listen. He is desperate, holding into her and asking why she is hurting him. He reminds her of her promise and how in love they both were. However, to his shock, the woman starts laughing. She calls him stupid, mocking him for believing those lies. She might have liked him, but she doesn't need him anymore. Right now, he is just like dirt that keeps clinging to her. She warns him to remember his place and stay away from her. 10 years have passed since that dreadful day, and our female lead is all grown up and is now the head of the Winter family. She seems to run her household with a tight hand as a man, and his lover complain about her. They are trying to do some naughty things, but the maid is afraid that Evelyn might catch them. Our girl is known for her horrible, wicked personality. The man isn't bothered, but tells the maid to turn around. The girl thinks it is just his fetish, but the truth? He doesn't want to see her face. He likes her back and her blonde hair because they remind him of Evelyn Winter. Even as he gets intimate with the maid, he keeps staring at Evelyn's picture, promising to also have her one day. But unfortunately for him, that day never comes. The door opens, and Evelyn Winter steps in. And right now, she's angry. She shows no mercy for the two disgusting people and throws them out in the snow. Well, at least she's nice enough to give them two options. They can either choose to freeze to death in the snow or take the gun and shoot themselves. Of course, the two don't want to die. They keep begging Evelyn to change her mind. The man even tries to threaten her assistant Isaac, only to be kicked away. Evelyn is tired of their noisy behavior and decides to help them. Since they keep talking about her honor, then they should just die for the glory of Winterhouse. She even promises to make them a golden coffin. Such a nice lady. The lady raises her gun, making the couple run away. This psycho really wants to kill them. The two lovers are frustrated. They promise Evelyn her era is over. Her family name won't protect her for long. Evelyn shoots, but the bullet doesn't meet its mark, allowing those two to run away. Evelyn is disappointed. She tells Isaac to make sure the company focuses more on gun production. Evelyn is supposed to leave the castle today, but the sea is frozen. She tells Isaac to give the workers more coins for their trouble. Just then, the door opens and a tiny version of Evelyn steps out. What a cute little girl. She is Evelyn's daughter, Sherry. Evelyn isn't that scary around her daughter, even carrying her and apologizing for the noise. She tells Sherry there was a big bad wolf, but she scared it away. Our female lead seems to have issues with her leg. The maid reminds her to use her cane, but she refuses. Sherry is here to show her mother the flower she drew. The flower might not grow around here, but Evelyn has definitely seen it. The flower reminds her of a shy boy years ago, her personal servant. It is his first time away from her, but he spent it carving a flower for her. He seems afraid she might not like it. To his surprise, Evelyn calls it pretty, but isn't happy since there is no scent. The boy promises to bring her flowers one day, except that day never comes. The last time they meet, he is beaten badly by her and chased away. Evelyn wants to forget those memories. She warns her daughter never to draw this flower again. She's about to leave when a man suddenly rushes into the hall. It is a servant of the Winter family, and he has bad news for Evelyn. The man can barely breathe as he tells Evelyn they are in big trouble. Well, the Winter family is indeed in big trouble. All their ships in the north have been stopped and their goods seized. And it isn't only the north. All their other ships around the empire have also been stopped and seized. It seems the military is targeting them. We see a military carriage arriving at the Winter's mansion. A man steps down and the soldiers around all salute him. He seems to be a very important officer. Our girl has no idea the military has already arrived. She is still angry at them, wondering who gave them the authority to touch her family's ships. She is sure she hasn't done anything wrong to them. Her servant tells her everything was handled by the greatest war hero in their empire, Colonel Gilas Black. Well, our female lead has no idea who this man is. She wonders why he would target her family. Her servant tells her the worst news ever. The Winter family is being accused of supplying military weapons to an enemy country. He warns her to be careful of this colonel. Everyone knows he is just like a devil. Unfortunately, that devil is right outside their home. Gilas is here to send a greeting to Evelyn, except it isn't a friendly one. His soldiers rush into the mansion, holding everyone at gunpoint while the man himself strolls in. He even apologizes for dirtying Evelyn's front door since there was no time to clean his shoes. His words seem to be targeting Evelyn, and when she finally sees his face, she understands why. 10 years ago, she had beaten him until he was half dead and called him dirt. Back then, he had promised her she would always regret this moment for the rest of her life. Evelyn hadn't taken him seriously, but she should have. because the male servant she had despised back then has now become the strongest soldier in the Empire. The soldiers gather everyone in the Winter Mansion to the front hall. They have an announcement to make. The Winter family is under investigation. Their family is suspected of opening a sea route and supplying military weapons to enemy countries. Because of this, everyone in the Duke's mansion is under investigation. They must stay here until the soldiers discover the truth. If they leave, it will be considered treason. The servants are all scared and start complaining until Evelyn acts. She reminds them their words and actions are being watched. Any careless behavior will ruin the Duke's mansion. She goes upstairs, but she can see a man watching her from above. It is the man everyone fears, Gilas Black. Our main characters live in the Altaric Empire. Their country is in a dangerous position. It is surrounded on all sides by enemy territory. The only reason their empire is still standing is because of its strong military power, but they couldn't stop the little wars from happening. Every time a battle was fought, the commoners were always the first to die. Soon, the commoners became dissatisfied with the nobles and royal family, and the social boundaries began to change. Things were getting worse until a great hero appeared. No one knew where he came from, but everyone knew his name, Gilas Black. They called him the Black Beast, or a demon of battle. He played the war like a chess game and won every single time. Gilas did his best to avenge the angry commoners and became the people's hope. Nobody cared that he was a commoner. He had become the greatest war hero. Right now, the famous war hero is questioning Evelyn, except he keeps asking her where her husband is. Evelyn doesn't find him funny. She has the guts to call the highest-ranking soldier in the Empire an idiot. She wonders how he became a hero if he can't even read. She tells Gilas to quit his job and become a writer because he really has the talent for it. Even Gilas' soldiers are shocked to see their boss being insulted. But Gilas knows why she is so angry. According to official reports, Evelyn's husband, Rowan Winter, is supposed to be a dead man. But while everyone else might believe that, Gilas is still suspicious. He was so suspicious. He gathered his men and went to dig up the grave of the dead man. I'm sure Evelyn is as shocked as we are. These men really dug up her husband's grave. Gilas says he is sorry, but he doesn't look sorry at all. But that was how they found an important clue. There is no body inside the coffin. According to his report, Evelyn married Rowan 10 years ago. 3 years later, Rowan Winter died in a train accident. But when his men dug up the grave, Rowan's coffin was empty. Gilas shows her some papers. He also checked her family's financial records and noticed some large amounts of money have gone missing in the past 7 years. A missing husband and missing money. It seems there is only one explanation. Rowan Winter must have faked his death and is secretly planning treason. Evelyn laughs when she hears this. She thinks Gilas is saying nonsense now. With the way he is making up stories, he should have become a writer instead of a soldier. Gilas changes the question and asks why she hasn't remarried during these 7 years. There was enough time and men for her to do so. Evelyn agrees with him, but she still loves her husband very much. Rowan might be dead, but she isn't willing to find another man to take his place. It is our male lead's turn to laugh. How can a devil like Evelyn talk about love? Evelyn is done listening to his mocking. She stands up and pours her glass of wine over his head. She tells him he doesn't scare her. Bringing soldiers to block her mansion and threaten her wouldn't do anything. He needs to give her real evidence. She warns him never to insult her dead husband and leaves the room. Evelyn sees her daughter waiting for her. She tries to talk to her, but the little angel is scared and trembling because the scary Gilas is standing behind Evelyn. He is here with more bad news. The lady refuses to listen, but Gilas still goes ahead to say it. Evelyn might think there is no evidence, but the truth is, the evidence is so big it is enough to destroy her family. When the military stopped the ship that was smuggling weapons to the enemy countries, they found out a lot of the weapons had the Winters family seal in it. If she cannot prove her innocence, she will have to prepare for her execution. Evelyn thinks it is all a threat. She reminds him of the past when he would cry and beg for his life. If he begs her just like before, she might actually give him the answer he wants to hear. Gilas pushes away the cane she is using to hit him. Since she still has a young child to take care of, he warns her to be careful. He even gives her a hug and leaves the search till tomorrow so she can rest for the day. Now our girl is confused. What on earth is this man up to? But soon her confusion turns to frustration. She should have known this wicked man is up to no good. He threw her walking cane to the bottom of the stairs. We get to know about the history of the Winter family. The first Duke of Winter was the king's most loyal assistant and contributed the most to build the empire. Out of gratitude, the king gave him a land in the north. The first Duke was a smart man who made wealth through mining and selling military resources, but everything was soon ruined. His younger generations became greedy for money and started doing illegal business just to increase their wealth. The commoners grew tired and began to rebel against them. Their reputation only got better when the last Duke, Rowan Winter, became the youngest person to graduate from the academy. He was the top scholar in his class, but he was just an adopted child. 3 years later, he disappeared. His wife, Evelyn Winter, took over his position. But she was just like the rest of the Duke's family. She didn't even allow herself to grieve after her husband's death. She continued exploiting the laborers, and everything became expensive. The commoners all disliked her. They believed she would ruin the Duke's family. Evelyn never cared about such gossip and would even laugh at them, until it backfired. The family's business, which she thought would last forever, soon began to slow down. There was no male to take over the Duke's family, and the family slowly declined. Enough of that. It is a new day, but our female lead is already angry. She looks like she is about to harm Gilas. Their meeting seems to be going wrong as she slams her cup down and dares him to repeat his statement. The man isn't afraid and tells her he wants to buy everything, both her family's name and her territory. If she refuses, all her assets will be seized by the military, and she will no longer be in charge of the Duke's mansion. He advises her to just sell everything and live peacefully. But our girl is extremely stubborn. She arrogantly says she doesn't need his money, which makes Gilas laugh. Everyone knows her business has slowly been declining. Now that she has been accused of treason and supporting the enemy country, nobody will be willing to buy from her in the future. The only thing she can do now is to let go of the dukedom. But still, Evelyn refuses to sign the paper he gives her. Gilas warns her not to fight him because there is no way she will win. She should just accept her fate. Evelyn isn't a woman that gives up, especially when it is her enemy. Instead of letting Gilas win, she would go and beg the only person who can show her mercy. The king himself. Even Gilas, the great hero, will have to listen to the king. Evelyn tells Isaac to pack their bags. As soon as the sun rises, she's going to see the king and ask for his mercy. It is nighttime, but Evelyn is still annoyed. She remembers how arrogant Gilas was, saying she can't fight against him. It only makes her more determined never to let him take away anything from her. She is so busy abusing the man in her mind, she doesn't notice the little figure approaching. When the person finally touches her, she immediately slaps their hands away only to look up and see it is her daughter, Sherry. She feels guilty when she sees the little angel's sad face. The baby begins to cry, and Evelyn spends a long time comforting her until she falls asleep. Evelyn can finally have peace. This little baby is so troublesome, but it is because of her she makes up her mind to be strong. She won't allow anyone to take their home away from her. Evelyn hugs her daughter to sleep. The little baby wakes up and sees her mother has fallen asleep wearing such thin clothes. She knows her mother will be cold and goes off to find a blanket. But that is a big mistake because someone uses this opportunity to sneak in. Gilas is here to see Evelyn, but he doesn't expect to hear her calling her dead husband's name. He is annoyed, so he kicks her awake. He is here with a bowl of food for her because he noticed she didn't eat anything throughout the day. He doesn't want her to fall sick. It seems he has forgotten how stubborn Evelyn is. She refuses to eat because she thinks this is a bribe and tells him to take it away. But she's shocked because the next moment, the man starts touching her face. Gilas has no dirty thoughts. He is just worried she might be having a fever. When she was young, she developed a bad habit of always refusing meals whenever she is sick. His good intentions are wasted when the woman suddenly slaps his hands away and tells him to get out. She thinks he is just pretending and tells him to say what he is really here for. Does he want revenge? But Gilas mocks her. To him, she is currently a weak animal who isn't worthy of his revenge. For him to get his revenge against her, she must first have something worth ruining. Now Evelyn is about to faint from anger. When he tries to feed her some soup, she pushes him away. Gilas is finally annoyed and roughly forces her into the chair. He tells her to stop acting powerful when she is really weak. She pretends to be strong, yet she is planning to beg the king. He tells her he will have to feed her through other ways since she has thrown the spoon away. Evelyn probably thinks the man wants to feed it to her with his lips, but he forces the bowl into her mouth and doesn't care when the food pours all over her face. He warns her to stop being stubborn and to just accept her new fate. Gilas is trying to force the food into her mouth when he is suddenly attacked from behind. Someone is punching and kicking him. He has to look down to see who his attacker is. It is the little Sherry. The poor girl probably thinks she is fighting, but her attacks are really not doing anything. But her presence saves Evelyn. Gilas leaves the stubborn woman alone. He warns her to finish the remaining food. She will only become a burden to the whole family if she falls sick at this time. You all might not believe it, but there was once a time when Gilas and Evelyn's relationship was good. They were once master and servant, and even lovers. Once when they were younger, the two were stuck under the rain. Just a simple touch is enough to make the two lovers blush. Gilas wants her to stay back while he finds someone to help them, but Evelyn refuses. She claims she is afraid of being alone in the forest and asks him to stay with her. He is worried she might catch a cold, but Evelyn is sure she won't. After all, his body is hot enough to keep her warm. The young Gilas is too shy to look her in the face, but Evelyn wants him to. She wonders just how handsome he would look without his long hair covering his face. Her words make the boy so nervous he wants to run away. But the girl stops him and orders him to stay by her side. She reminds him he is the only thing she has. Her words make him weak, and he gives in to her. Under the rain, the two share a long and perfect kiss. But that foolish and beautiful man is no longer hers. Back to the present. It is the next day after that incident, and Evelyn is met with more troubles. Who would have guessed her carriage would suddenly spoil overnight? The driver is about to cry as he promises her the carriage was okay. He checked it last night and everything was working fine. But this morning, they found a part of it destroyed. Now Evelyn's plan to head to the royal castle and beg the king for help is ruined, and now Gilas offers for them to share his carriage since he is also going to the capital, but Evelyn refuses. She would rather wait for 3 extra hours until the carriage is fixed than ride with him. Gilas is tired of this stubborn woman. He doesn't argue with her and just directly carries her into his carriage. He warns her to stop struggling since there are a lot of people watching. Evelyn can't control her anger anymore and slaps him. Gilas soldiers almost get a heart attack watching this woman scold and hit their boss. The man himself doesn't do anything to her and just throws her into the carriage. Evelyn is beginning to wonder if this is really the man she knew. He doesn't bother with her. Secretly, he is happy. She isn't as weak as before and can even cause trouble. It seems the food he fed her last night paid off. And then the journey begins, but Evelyn isn't done causing trouble. She says she wants to throw up, and the man advises her to do it outside. Evelyn thinks he is worried about his carriage getting dirty. It annoys her, and she tells him he looks like a dog. She reminds him of the times when he couldn't even look at her directly. She even kicks the box at his feet, but no matter what she says to provoke him, the man doesn't get angry. Evelyn is frustrated because he is different from the man she remembers. He no longer resembles the boy she fell in love with back then. Those words hurt Gilas badly. He remembers the last time he met her, the day she almost beat him to death. Back then, he had no idea what he did to annoy her, but he loved her too much. So he abandoned his pride and knelt down, crying and begging her not to leave him. He was willing to do anything to stop her from abandoning him. But she was extremely ruthless, warning him to leave the mansion and never to show his face again. Gilas thought she was angry because he held another lady's hand. He tried to explain to her what happened, but Evelyn didn't listen. She slapped him so hard, he started to bleed. And Gilas remembers those moments right now, and it makes him angry. When Evelyn tries to touch him, he pushes her away, thinking she wants to hurt him again. He tells her she has no right to say he has changed. They arrive at the royal castle, and he gets off. He has no intentions of talking about what happened back then. To him, their past is just a dirty old story that disgusts him. The two head into the castle, but they have no idea someone is watching them. Hidden above the castle, a man is admiring Evelyn. It is Victor Alteric, the second candidate for the throne. It has been 7 years since he last saw her at her husband's funeral, and now she has finally shown her face. The man admires how beautiful she looks. She might be a widow, but she is still stunning. The man makes up his mind. Since she has come into his hands, he is never going to let her go. Victor rushes out to greet Evelyn. He looks happy to see her, but Evelyn isn't. She is just respectful, greeting him and apologizing for disturbing him with her matters. Of course, Victor isn't bothered. He even shows concern, asking about how her journey was. He offers to get her some warm tea to drink. Evelyn has no time for this. She pushes Victor away and tells him her first mission is to explain the misunderstanding. Evelyn wants to see the king, but Victor refuses to let her in. He tells her the emperor is sick. Right now, the king can't even get out of bed. His mind has been clouded by his sickness, and he isn't in his right senses. Victor tells her to wait until the king is better. He doesn't think her issues are important. After all, a little misunderstanding won't hurt her. Evelyn pretends to agree, but she points at Gilas. She tells Victor his soldiers are too stubborn. If she doesn't resolve the issue today, she might be arrested. Victor tells her not to blame Gilas because he has always been this way. He just takes his job too seriously. He introduces the colonel to her as his savior. Victor was injured during a battle and would have died if Gilas hadn't saved him. It took Victor a lot of time to convince Gilas to join the military unit and quit being a mercenary. Victor praises Gilas, calling him unmatched in chasing down and destroying his enemies. He's afraid Gilas might have considered her an enemy and behaved rudely to her. Well, yes, he has. But Evelyn can't say it, so she pretends to be pleased with him. In fact, the whole time he was with her, it felt like she was walking on clouds. She pretends to clean away some tears because of Gilas's sweet behavior. Evelyn is allowed to see the king. Before she leaves, Victor starts confessing his love. He tells her to rely on him if she needs help. It is time for her to forget her dead husband and start over. The lady asks if that was why he killed her husband. Victor is shocked and can't say anything. Evelyn tells him she was only joking and leaves. She goes to see the king, who is actually happy to see her. It seems the king is really sick because his hands look sore and discolored. Evelyn apologizes for not coming to see him sooner. Over at the Archduke's side, he is throwing a tantrum because Evelyn ignored him. He keeps insulting her. He hates seeing that proud look in her face. While the man is crashing out, Gilas is quietly drinking wine. He is already used to Evelyn's arrogant behavior. It turns out Gilas isn't the only one searching for Rowan. Victor also believes the former duke is still alive. It is the king's first time talking to Evelyn since her husband's funeral. He feels sad about Rowan's death. The man was so talented, everyone thought he would lead their country into glory. Unfortunately, he died. Just like Evelyn, the king also thinks it was Victor who killed her husband. Rowan and Victor were attending the same academy. The king believes Victor might have been jealous of Rowan. The Archduke has always been a greedy man. Seeing another person taking the top position and becoming the most popular person in the academy, he must have hated Rowan and treated him like an enemy. The Emperor is sure Evelyn's current problems were also caused by Victor. The man is trying to get her support by threatening her and forcing her to marry him. There is no way she can defeat him on her own. The king doesn't support Victor's actions and decides to help her. Just because Rowan isn't here doesn't mean the Winter family can be destroyed. Victor believes Rowan is alive and orders Gilas to find him. He won't even mind if he is dead. He wants Gilas to bring the body to him so he can destroy it in front of Evelyn and watch her proud face crumble. He threatens Gilas to do the job well. Since he was the one who raised Gilas, he can also destroy him. Victor offers to give Gilas Rowan's picture, but he refuses. The colonel doesn't need any pictures because he already knows what Rowan looks like. In fact, he recognizes the man's face so well it hurt his eyes. After all, he was the one who painted Rowan in Evelyn's wedding picture. While Evelyn begs the king to give her one more chance to show her loyalty, Gilas also promises to find Rowan at all costs. Evelyn is done with her meeting with the king, but she comes out to see a crowd waiting for her. Victor has gathered the nobles. He uses this chance to invite her to have dinner with him and offers to take her home himself. Evelyn knows this is just Victor's plan to get her to his side. He was born a concubine's son, but he has always been desperate for power. He isn't content with being just an archduke and plans to take the throne. Right now, he is already in control of the military. He actually has enough power and ability to achieve his ambition. But there is one thing stopping him: bloodline. In Altaric, the nobles care very much about their bloodline. As a concubine's son, there is no way Victor can gain the support of the nobles. That is why he needs Evelyn. He has gathered the nobles today. If Evelyn agrees to go with him, she is announcing that she is accepting his proposal. Evelyn doesn't want that, but she is surrounded and seems to have no choice. Just then, someone rushes in, scolding Victor. It is Joshua Altaric, the first candidate for the throne. He accuses his uncle of intimidating Evelyn, asking if he isn't ashamed. Victor isn't happy to see his rival. He tells the young boy he is supposed to be in the academy, but Joshua doesn't care. He is here for another important matter. Or rather, person. Just one look at Evelyn and he starts to blush. Evelyn is delighted to see him, not expecting him to remember her. Well, Joshua is her fanboy. He is concerned about Evelyn after hearing what happened to her. Victor tries to chase him away, but Evelyn stops him. She mocks Victor and tells him Joshua will be graduating at the top of his class. In Altaric, scholars have always been the pillar of the country. She praises the poor boy so much, he becomes shy. He tells her he wants to become as wonderful as her dead husband. Evelyn decides to ask Joshua for help. She needs a carriage to go back home. She tells him a pack of wolves appeared and attacked her. Since she has no carriage and the road is dangerous, she needs someone to escort her back to her castle. The three men are surprised to hear her say this. While Gilas and Victor are annoyed, Joshua is happy and agrees to go with her. Evelyn immediately thanks him. To return this favor, she gives him a promise. As long as Altaric still stands, the Winter family will always be loyal to Joshua. They will never let anything harm him. The people around are impressed by Evelyn. They all know the Archduke was trying to force her to his side. Not only did she destroy his plans, she even insulted him too. Even Gilas laughs at the Archduke. Victor is angry. He accuses her of seducing the king and still going after such a young boy. He calls her shameless. Evelyn isn't annoyed by his words. She tells him he is better off holding a damaged rope than trying to force her. He laughs, but it is full of anger. He vows to make Evelyn regret what she did today. Gilas is here and offers to escort Evelyn back to her castle. But there is a problem. The carriage is too high. Evelyn can't enter the carriage because of her injured leg. Gilas offers his knee for her to use as a step. His actions keep confusing her. She can't tell what his purpose is. Evelyn listens to him and gets in, but her heels get spoiled. Gilas feels pity for her and tells her to rest. Evelyn doesn't want his fake pity. She finds it disgusting to see him pretending like he cares. Gilas doesn't care what she thinks. He is really happy to know that she is getting better and even thanks God for her life. The woman is confused, but she knows she can't show any weakness. She tells him she doesn't want to see him again and warns him to avoid her. The carriage leaves and Gilas' assistant appears. He notices how happy Gilas looks. Our male lead is indeed happy. Back then, Evelyn had always taught him how to hunt. The joy of hunting is when the prey gives up running away and decides to fight back. Evelyn is now his prey. Gilas is really happy to see her healthy. He is glad she has a husband and child that she loves and even a reputation to protect. He is happy that she still has all those things, because he is going to make sure she loses everything. When Evelyn left him, Gilas realized how insignificant and useless he really was to her. This time, he is going to use everything she taught him to make her suffer. Days have passed, and Evelyn seems to have accepted an impossible task. She has to rebuild the Brington railway project. Even her assistant Isaac seems to think it is impossible. The Brington project is a bridge that connects Altaric to Barrington, a land with a large mine. Rowan Winter came up with the idea of the Brington project. Back then, he wanted to help his country expand their trade by building a railroad over the sea. At first, he was successful. Not many people believed him, but he managed to build the bridge. Everything was going fine until the day of the opening ceremony when a train exploded. It might have been a technical mistake or even a plan from his enemies, but the construction of the bridge was stopped. And now Evelyn is expected to rebuild that bridge. Isaac is worried they might be attacked by other countries or a mistake would appear in the design. Either way, he thinks they are going to fail. Evelyn thinks there is no problem with the design. She doesn't have a choice. To get out of trouble, she had promised the king she would help Joshua become the king. If she, the person representing the nobles, supported Joshua, then the rest of them would surely follow. But her family has become too weak. All she has are churches supporting her. To strengthen her position and make Joshua king, she needs something stronger. And that is the Brington project. Evelyn promised the king she would spread their business to other countries. Now, she has no choice but to fulfill that promise. The fate of their family depends on it. The two are interrupted when someone shows up. Gilas Black is here and he scolds them for trespassing. He wants to see their entry permit. Evelyn is tired of this annoying man. She tells him he is the one shamelessly interfering in their business. He doesn't believe her and asks her to leave. Evelyn finally explains this is a national project that the king specially gave her. If anyone has to leave, it should be Gilas. Evelyn orders Isaac to return home with the blueprints. Gilas also sends his assistant away so they can have a private talk. Gilas is worried about her since this place is very dangerous. He keeps showing affection, which makes Evelyn confused. Even though she treated him like dirt, he still cares for her. He is nothing like Victor, who will make sure he destroys her Winter family. But Evelyn has no time for such useless feelings. She has more things to worry about, like making sure the business her dead husband left behind doesn't crumble. Our female lead really misses her husband. When he was alive, he was always concerned about Altaric and trying to find ways to expand the country's market. He would always tell her how important Brington Bridge is to the country. The woman is busy thinking about her dead husband, so she doesn't notice that danger is near. A part of the bridge is about to fall on her head. Thankfully, Gilas notices and quickly saves her, but her injured foot is still soaked by the icy water. Gilas is afraid her leg injury might become worse, but Evelyn pushes him away. She doesn't want him showing her concern. Gilas thinks she is too stubborn. If she continues, her toes might have to be cut off. Evelyn is annoyed and tells him he needs to cut his ears since he doesn't listen. She can't even stand on her own, but keeps insisting she doesn't need help. Gilas can't watch her anymore. He helps her stand and then drags her away. There is a snowstorm coming. The two decide to hide in a shed until the snowstorm stops. When Evelyn sees the shed, she instantly remembers the past. This was where she and Gilas used to spend their time. It was in that shed the two of them first became intimate. Now what will happen when the former lovers are stuck together in such a familiar place? The former lovers are stuck in the shed together because of the snowstorm, but they don't speak to each other. Gilas tries to make the place more comfortable and goes looking for some firewood, while Evelyn keeps thinking of the past. This place is still the same as the one in her memory. No matter how hard she tries to forget, she keeps remembering the past. Gilas makes a fire and tells Evelyn to move closer so she can dry her clothes. Evelyn is sure he must have been in a situation like this before. He reminds her he is a soldier, which makes her laugh. Who would have known the kid with a carving knife would become a soldier? Gilas starts acting affectionate. He plays with her hair, which makes Evelyn nervous. She tells him she can walk back to the mansion alone. The man refuses. If he lets her go, she is going to end up freezing to death out there. Evelyn thinks Victor will be happy to see her dead. Gilas doesn't agree. The Archduke will find her death very boring. Everything seems to be going well until Gilas starts asking about her husband. Maybe it is because they are in a familiar place, but Gilas can't control his feelings anymore. He still can't believe Evelyn is truly in love with her husband. He dislikes Rowan Winter and doesn't think he loves Evelyn. The man disappeared and left behind such a huge mess for her. A man who loves her wouldn't put her in danger like this. His words make Evelyn furious. She hates how everyone keeps thinking her husband is alive and hiding somewhere. Gilas says her husband is putting her in danger, but what about him? Evelyn isn't a fool. Why would a war hero like Gilas be sent to her winter family? Of course he must be working for the Archduke. Evelyn thinks he is a hypocrite and a weak man. He talks about her husband putting her in danger, but he is the same. He is serving the Archduke, helping Victor to make her life miserable. He might be angry with her for abandoning him, but does he think Victor won't do the same? Evelyn tells Gilas he is just like a pitiful dog who bites his own owner. But she was never a worthy master. Gilas reminds Evelyn how she treated him. She never trusted him and abandoned without any reason. She mocks him for daring to talk back to her now. She answers his question and tells him she loves her husband. A noble marriage is something blessed by God, not something a poor boy like him can mock. Her words make Sheila sad. He is done playing around with this wicked woman. He finds her marriage a mockery. This shed was the first place they became intimate, even though they both knew it was a crime. And now she has the face to say her marriage is pure. He asks her if she wore a white dress on her wedding day. He reminds her she was already soiled before the wedding. She was just pretending to be innocent in front of the priest and everyone. The love she claims to have for her husband are all lies from her wicked mouth. Gilas has done the thing Evelyn hates most, talking bad about her husband. She angrily slaps him in the face. Gilas finds it hard to accept. He makes a promise. Her husband will never get into heaven. It makes Evelyn more furious and she slaps him again. She tells him his current behavior is very dirty. He has to move forward from their dirty past and stop being so disgusting. Evelyn was really harsh with her slap. Gilas's mouth is bleeding. He wipes off the blood and rubs it all over Evelyn's lips. This isn't over. He promises to show her how dirty he can really be. Evelyn can't control her anger anymore. She starts to strangle Gilas. She has made up her mind to kill this annoying man. Gilas wonders how her husband must feel seeing his wife fighting like this. Evelyn doesn't know, but she is determined to kill Gilas. When he is dead and in the afterlife, he can ask her husband. But Gilas won't allow his greatest enemy kill him so easily. He tells her it isn't his time to die. Who knows? It might just be Evelyn's turn because Gilas pulls out a gun and points it right at her face. A little flashback to Gilas's past. Back then, after hearing about her marriage and being forced to paint her wedding picture, all he wanted to do was run away. Everything would have been fine if he disappeared, but Evelyn stopped him. She insisted he stay with her, begging him to be by her side forever. But even with all those promises and intimate moments, she abandoned him first. She had chased him away under the guise of giving him freedom. Since she wanted him to live so much, Gilas decided to do so. But this time, he has only one purpose, to get revenge on Evelyn. He kept moving from place to place, and one day he happened to help the Archduke. Victor was grateful to the man who saved him and decided to help Gilas. Our male lead never had a name. It was Evelyn who came up with one for him, Gilas Black. Now he is determined to survive and turn that commoner's name into something worth knowing. He might have been abandoned by the world several times, but he will change his fate and get revenge on his enemies. Well, it seems like his wish is finally being fulfilled. Right now, his gun is pointed straight at Evelyn's face. Elsewhere, his soldiers hear a gunshot and see smoke rising in the distance. Gilas's assistant doesn't panic, as if he has expected this. He tells the rest to get a carriage. Evelyn might think everything is over, but there is more trouble for the Winter family. Victor is ready to get his revenge against Evelyn. He has prepared a big present for her and calls her mansion. Unfortunately, she isn't around. Only the governess Marie is. He mocks their family for being stiff. Anyways, the present he has arranged for the Winter family is going to arrive soon. As expected, someone comes rushing in. It is Isaac, Evelyn's assistant, but he doesn't look good. There is blood all over him. He has bad news for Evelyn. He was attacked on his way home, and the design blueprints for the Brington project were stolen from him. But Victor's gift isn't done. His soldiers arrive at the Winter Mansion with even more tragic news. Evelyn has no idea her family has fallen into chaos. She is still stuck with Gilas. She thought she would die from the gunshot, but it turns out Gilas's gun is actually a flare signal. He uses it to summon his assistant. Immediately, his men arrive with a carriage. He orders Evelyn to get in, planning to escort her back to her mansion. Then Evelyn mocks him, saying he just lost his only chance to get rid of her. She believes she won't need Gilas' help again, but she is completely wrong. Gilas mocks her. She is acting all proud, but right now everything is being taken away from her. Back at home, Victor is still talking to Marie. He has prepared one more gift for the lonely Evelyn. Since she lives alone, he decided to buy all the surrounding properties around the Winter Mansion. He makes fun of Evelyn for losing something so precious. Years ago, she sold the Winter's land, but she had no idea who bought it. Right now, Victor owns almost half of the Winter's territory and has even built a mansion just opposite hers. His soldiers deliver an invitation to the Winter family. It is an invitation to the ball being held at the Black's mansion. The Black mansion, you might ask? Well, the Archduke gave the whole territory to Gilas Black. Right now, our two leads are neighbors. Evelyn is just as shocked as we are when she hears this. She can't believe the Archduke would give the territory to Gilas. Gilas acts sad, wondering how her dead husband will feel seeing his territory being sold off. Since they are now neighbors, he invites Evelyn to his welcoming party. But this is not an invitation. It is an order from the Archduke. Our girl has no choice but to accept. I can't imagine what will happen now that these two are forced to be in the same space. When Evelyn arrives at the mansion, her servants are all panicking. They are about to tell her what the Archduke has done when they see Gilas beside her. Evelyn looks tired and doesn't even argue before sending Gilas away. Once he leaves, Evelyn's servants all surround her, worried about her. Our female lead isn't concerned about herself. She has seen her assistant, Isaac, and how injured he is. When he apologizes, she knows the documents have been taken. They can't do anything except find a doctor and treat their injuries. Days have passed ever since that incident, but it is all Evelyn can think about. Even while bathing, she tries to figure out what the Archduke's purpose is. Did he really buy all their surrounding territory just to destroy her winter family? It is at times like this that Evelyn misses Rowan. If he was here, he would know what to do. Before he died, he had told her things would become difficult for their family once the king's sickness became worse. The fight for the throne will begin, and their family will be forced to pick a side. But even though Rowan knew this, he had no friends who would help Evelyn when the time came. There is no help for their winter mansion. Back to present, Evelyn doesn't know what to do. She always acts tough, but she's also tired. Their enemies surround them from all sides. Even the servants at home are all afraid and unable to relax. Evelyn misses her husband so much. With enemies everywhere and no one to rely on, it is a very lonely position. Evelyn is depressed and starts to sink underwater. She looks like she has given up hope, until someone else appears. It is little Sherry, and she immediately scares her mother when she jumps into the bathtub and tries to sink under too. Evelyn is terrified and angry. She quickly pulls the girl out and starts to scold her until she sees her face. The baby girl is crying and shaking so badly. Just like her, little Sherry is lonely and scared. Evelyn is no longer angry. Because of her daughter, she has found a new strength and hope. She will never give up or run away from such a situation. Since she made a promise to her husband, she will fulfill it. The two have had their bath time and are about to leave when they hear a loud noise from outside. Someone is trying to force his way inside. The maids try to stop him, but he is too strong. The door opens and a handsome man appears. He calls himself the doctor and rushes to touch Evelyn. He is worried she might have a fever and tries to examine her right there. Evelyn doesn't like how familiar he acts and immediately slaps him. The poor man is slapped to the ground but doesn't forget to give her a thumbs up. But then she calls his name and asks him to stop being so formal. It turns out he is her longtime friend, Oscar Cole, and the two are just meeting after a long time. The Winter family is going about their business. Evelyn is busy changing clothes while Oscar assists her. Unknown to them, someone is spying on them. Outside the mansion, a masked man is watching everything that happens in the Winter mansion. Oscar looks like he has just heard the biggest joke. And indeed he has. Hearing Evelyn say she wants to rebuild the Brington Bridge project, all he can do is laugh. It is not that he doesn't trust her, but a project even Rowan failed to complete. How can Evelyn finish it up? Plus, the commoners are already dissatisfied with the nobles. If they restart such a big project right now, the people would surely disapprove. They might even cause trouble for them. Evelyn doesn't want to talk about sad things anymore. She doesn't like how distant Oscar acts with her. She really misses the old days. Back then, she, Oscar, and Rowan would spend the day together having fun. Oscar says he also misses those days. But a visitor appears. Little Sherry is here to see her uncle. Oscar is delighted to see her, and the two play around. Oscar is happy when he sees the little girl has grown so much. But soon, the sad atmosphere comes back when he tries to get her to talk. It turns out little Sherry can't speak. No matter how he tries, she doesn't say a word. He doesn't want to make the girl sad and sends her away after promising to catch rabbits with her. When he is alone with her mother, he mentions Sherry's problem. Because of an incident that happened years back, Sherry stopped talking. Even after all these years, she still hasn't recovered. Evelyn can still remember what happened. She was so terrified that day. Her daughter had been kidnapped by a criminal, and he had even raised a knife at her. It was Rowan Winter who appeared and saved Sherry. If not, she doesn't know what would have happened. Just thinking about it makes Evelyn dizzy, and she drops her cup. Oscar is worried. From how weak she looks, he is sure she hasn't been sleeping and eating properly. But Evelyn isn't bothered about that. Remembering Gilas' strict face, she tells Oscar she has a favor to beg him for. Somewhere else, little Sherry is enjoying her day. She strolls around the mansion and sees a little rabbit. Like all little children, she imagines how happy her mother and Oscar would be when she catches the rabbit and brings it back to them. Just thinking about it makes her happy. The little girl has a new goal: chase the rabbit. But before she can catch it, someone else does. There is a gunshot, and the rabbit is killed right before Sherry's eyes. Even worse, a masked man appears before the girl, asking if she remembers him. Evelyn has no idea her daughter is in danger. She is explaining their current situation to Oscar. Right now, he is the only person she can still trust. She tells him the Winter family is being destroyed. Oscar is confused. He has no idea who might want to do this. Evelyn is about to confess and tell him Gilas has returned when they are suddenly interrupted. They have brought bad news for Evelyn. Something is wrong with Sherry. They all rush outside, but when they get there, Evelyn nearly faints. There is fresh blood on the ground, and right next to it is her daughter's hat. Before we get to what happened to little Sherry, let's take a flashback through Evelyn's life. I know we all think Evelyn's life must have been picture perfect, but we are all wrong. After the death of her husband, while most people were feeling sorry for the Winters family and wondering if they were cursed, another group started blaming Evelyn for the death of the whole family. She has always been known as a cursed woman, someone who brings death to those around her. After she was born, all her cousins started to die one by one. The people all believe one thing: Evelyn Winter must be a witch. Our girl has heard those rumors and also believes something is wrong with her. She hides away from everyone, too depressed to show herself. She is even ready to die. But it is in that darkness that her savior appears. Someone comes looking for her. Evelyn has no idea it is her daughter. She thinks it is one of the servants and feels sad since her orders were disobeyed. No one wants to respect a witch like her. She tells the newcomer to go away. She is worried she might also cause this person's death. She really believes she is cursed. First, it was her cousins, then her uncle, and now even her husband. It seems the curse on her won't be satisfied until it takes away everything and everyone around her. She is just a monster who destroys people's lives. She doesn't want anyone to come close to her. But in that moment of despair, a gentle hand reaches out to touch her. The person doesn't leave. Instead, she moves closer. Little Sherry might not know, but it was those hands that gave Evelyn the strength to go on with life. Those hands seemed to tell her even monsters didn't deserve to cry. And her daughter's eyes? They were filled with love, reminding Evelyn of the days when she was in love and her life was good. Ever since that day, Sherry became the only light left in Evelyn's life. She gave Evelyn a purpose. When she thought her life was over, her daughter gave her another reason to live. And right now, her light has been taken from her. The servants in the mansion are all worried. Guards have been sent to search everywhere, but it doesn't look good. For the person to sneak in without being noticed, it means he must be familiar with their mansion. But Evelyn isn't listening to them. She suddenly notices something across the river. It looks like her daughter. And she is standing next to Rowan. Evelyn ignores everyone who tells her it is dangerous and rushes into the icy river. Right now, she doesn't care about her injuries. She needs to get her daughter back. But she is too late. The two are about to disappear. With no choice, Evelyn kneels and begs. She begs Rowan not to take Sherry away because the little girl is all she has left. She is sure her husband hates her, but instead of taking their daughter, he should take her instead. Evelyn is crying and begging, but everything is just her illusion. It isn't Rowan Winter standing there. It is Gilas Black, and he has a precious present with him. He opens his coat, and there she is. Little Sherry is hidden there, safe from the cold and danger. This time, Gilas has really saved Evelyn. A suspicious man was about to take Sherry away. Thankfully, Gilas and his men were out hunting and managed to save Sherry. But they couldn't stop the man from running away. Evelyn doesn't care about all that right now. All she cares about is that her daughter is safe. The mother and child hug each other while crying. For the first time, Evelyn Winter swallows her pride. When Gilas mentions how his hunting has been ruined, she actually says he owes him. She plans to repay him back this time and offers for him to visit her mansion. Gilas agrees. Everything is settled until the noisemaker appears. Oscar is here, and the first thing he does is scold Evelyn for jumping into the cold river with her weak body. He walks past Gilas, but when he realizes who he is, he turns around in shock. He knows this man. Back then, it wasn't only the three spending time together, there was also a fourth person present, their personal painter, Gilas Black. Everyone returns to the Winters mansion, but the atmosphere is very stressful. Even the maid starts sweating in fear. Oscar and Evelyn sit together. Honestly, if Oscar opens his eyes any wider, they would probably fall off. He keeps staring at Gilas like he is some strange creature. He doubts this soldier is the painter from before, until he calls his name and Gilas answers. The little puppy is happy to finally see another person he knows. The two men start chatting. Before they get distracted, Evelyn interrupts them. She thanks Gilas for saving her daughter. The man wants to know who would do such a thing. He mocks Evelyn for having so many enemies. Since he has done her a huge favor, she doesn't argue with him. She doesn't know what else to give him and offers to help him plan his party. But Gilas refuses. Instead, he is trying to play matchmaker. Since Evelyn doesn't have a partner for his ball, he suggests she comes with Oscar. The two are shocked, but Gilas doesn't stop. He says her dead husband would be happy if her partner is one of their old friends. Evelyn is upset again. She scolds Gilas for being so rude. She reminds him they are from different social status. He has no right to speak to her that way. Gilas apologizes, but we can tell he doesn't mean it. He mocks Evelyn for caring about such superficial things like learning how to talk. While the soldiers are out in the battlefield risking their lives, the nobles sit around learning manners and cultures. Since Evelyn wants to repay him, he asks her to give him a guest room. A snowstorm has started again, and Gilas plans to spend the night in the Winter's mansion. Back in his room, Oscar is still feeling nervous. You can't blame him. The atmosphere between those two is so weird. He wonders what happened between them after he left Alteric. He still can't believe the servant who used to work for them is now a colonel. It is really surprising. But he can't understand why Evelyn and Gilas seem to hate each other now. Even back then, it was clear to everyone that the master and servant were really close. Oscar seems to have realized something that makes him shocked. Alone in her room, Evelyn is sick once again. She tries to ring the bell to call somebody, but she doesn't want to burden them. She starts searching for medicine herself, but is surprised to see the door to her study open. She thinks it might be Oscar, but when she sees who it is, she is surprised. He is the last person she expected to see here. Oscar is in his room having a breakdown. He has finally remembered some past memories. Back then, he was sure he saw Gilas kiss Evelyn while she was asleep. That was not the look of a servant towards his master. The exposed servant is standing in the dark in Evelyn's study, staring at her wedding picture. When Evelyn opens the door, she is surprised to see him. She never expected it to be Gilas, and immediately asks what he is looking for. Gilas doesn't say anything and just compliments the painting. Evelyn isn't happy with his behavior. She mocks him for walking around someone else's house at night, calling him a rude guest. Seeing that he has so much energy, she suggests he leaves and goes back to his mansion. Gilas doesn't answer, making her overthink. She is sure he is up to something bad. She can't leave because she doesn't know what he might do, but she can't call anybody either because they would suspect her relationship with Gilas. It really gives her a headache. The main cause of her headache comes over and touches her head. Her body is burning hot. He tells Evelyn to call her doctor, but she refuses. Gilas is jealous and asks if Oscar's skill is so bad or if he interrupted her secret meeting with him. This man sure knows how to make her angry. She stands up to attack him, but her head hurts just too much. She can't argue and just tells him he is wrong. He keeps talking about it, but she refuses to answer anymore. Gilas decides to drink while Evelyn just sips her water. It might be the sickness, but Evelyn starts imagining some very naughty things. She tries to cool down by drinking some cold water, but ends up taking Gilas' glass of wine. Immediately, she starts coughing. She says her throat is burning, making Gilas pour another cup of water. He feeds it to her gently while complaining of how delicate she is. Whether in the past or now, she seems to require a lot of attention. He wants to know if she is okay, but unfortunately, Evelyn is drunk. She thinks she is still in the past and reaches out to hold his face. He tries to push her away, but she pushes herself into his arms and falls asleep. Gilas doesn't know what to do with this woman. He leaves her on the couch covered up with a blanket. He plans to leave, but he sees someone walking around outside. This isn't a good time. More shocking, the woman who should be sleeping suddenly grabs him from behind. She keeps complaining of being cold, and Gilas can't say no to her, so he decides to stay. Now the two are stuck together in a dark room. Evelyn is dreaming. In her dream, she catches a red fox. She plans to use its skin to make a scarf, but decides to give Gilas. It would look better on him. She goes searching for her lover to show off the fox she caught, but the fox suddenly turns into the head of her uncle. Evelyn is terrified, especially when the head starts to speak. He blames her for being a curse. He took her in out of pity, but now they are all dead because of her. Evelyn is panicking as she tries to prove her innocence. She is suffering until someone appears to help her. It is Rowan. He picks her up and promises to protect her from now on. Evelyn is happy until she sees Gilas. He is walking away from her. She keeps shouting his name until she wakes up. Evelyn doesn't know if she is still dreaming, because she is currently sleeping on Gilas' lap. The man isn't bothered and continues reading a book. Evelyn is afraid she might have revealed her secret, but he promises her she didn't say anything. He finds a wet rag and puts it on her head, pushing her into his lap again. He wants her to rest more so her fever can completely vanish. Evelyn is worried about what would happen if the servants see them. Gilas tells her not to worry about that. He has a way to leave without anyone noticing. All he wants her to do now is rest. Evelyn is confused again. She has no idea what this man is thinking. Is he feeling pity towards her because she is sick? Or is he just pretending, waiting for the right moment to destroy her and the Winter family? Evelyn doesn't know if it is because she is drunk. She is clearly lying on her enemy's lap, so why does it feel so peaceful? Just like he promised, the next morning, Gilas is gone when Evelyn wakes up. She rushes to the window from where she can see him leaving. Right now, the man is troubled. Last night, when Evelyn asked if she said anything in her sleep, he lied and said no. But truthfully, she had clung to him like a child. When he wants to leave and call a servant for her, she immediately hugs him and almost kisses him. It is finally the day of Gilas' celebration banquet, and the place is filled. Gilas invites his fellow commoners, and they are all surprised to see so many famous people walking around. The Archduke might be powerful, but not enough to invite so many important people. At this rate, Gilas' ball is bigger and more impressive than the balls held by some nobles. A man runs around trying to speak to the ladies. Behind his back, the commoners all mock him. He calls himself a nobleman, yet he runs around trying to borrow money from people to cover his gambling debts. Count Theodore has really disgraced the nobles. The commoners make fun of him. They no longer believe in social status. There isn't much difference between the nobles and the commoners now. What matters is making good money. The main character of today's banquet has arrived, and as always, Gilas Black looks handsome. He stands in a corner all alone until the Archduke arrives. Victor is impressed by Gilas and praises him for preparing such an impressive banquet. He drags our male lead out of his hiding spot and into the ball. He points to the people gossiping about Gilas, asking the soldier how he feels to have stolen the hearts of all the women present. Except these women are not the ones he wants. When the Archduke is distracted, he looks around, but he doesn't see the person he is searching for. He can only stare out the window at the mansion across. At the Winter Mansion, the servants are about to faint. The arrival time for the banquet is almost up, yet their mistress refuses to get ready. They urge her to get dressed, but Evelyn says she doesn't like any of the clothes prepared. The maid is shocked because these are all dresses she got from the most expensive stores. Some were even gotten from abroad. Evelyn, however, chooses to wear a dress she already has. Those are the kind of clothes she likes, and she asks her maid to bring it over from her closet. We are excited to see what dress our girl will wear. Over at the Colonel's ball, the person Victor has been waiting for has finally arrived. And no, it isn't Evelyn. He drags Gilas over to welcome the new visitor, saying it is a gift he prepared for him. He has invited the most popular noblewoman in Altaric, Lady Perez. A beautiful lady with purple hair steps down from the carriage and greets the two men. She is Sonia Perez, a relative of the Archduke. Victor keeps pushing Gilas forward, insisting he personally welcomes his sister. He boldly says there is no other woman as beautiful as Sonia in the whole continent. Our male lead has no choice but to welcome her. He introduces himself to the shy lady. Since the Archduke has already suggested it, Gilas offers to be Sonia's partner for tonight's ball. The girl is about to hold his hand when another carriage arrives. The last guest is finally here. Everyone is curious, wondering who this guest might be. Well, it is none other than the head of the Winter family, our Evelyn Winter. But when she appears, it makes everyone laugh. She is dressed like a nun, or even worse, like she is attending a funeral. Evelyn, dressed in a black dress and a black hat, doesn't mind their laughter. The people keep complaining about her dress, wondering if she has gone crazy. Evelyn tells Victor she is disappointed. She came here under his instructions, only to receive a cold treatment. Victor doesn't want to bear this accusation and promises to treat her nicely. Since he said this, Evelyn makes another demand. Gilas must be her partner for tonight's ball. Everyone is shocked when Gilas agrees. He kisses Evelyn's hand and invites her inside. The Archduke and his cousin are annoyed. Victor stands to a side thinking, while Sonia stares at Evelyn and calls her a witch. Evelyn enters with Gilas Black, causing the people around to gossip. They are jealous, wondering why the Colonel is the one escorting her. Plus, she is even wearing mourning clothes. They believe she must be completely crazy. Evelyn can hear all the gossip, and she praises Gilas for escorting her and making everyone around jealous of her. The lowly servant has now become the center of attention. We are introduced to the Archduke's family, Count Perez. At first, the Count was just an unknown man with a little background, until his daughter seduced the king. The woman got pregnant and gave birth to Victor. From then, she went from being a palace maid to being the king's concubine. But how could things be so simple? Just when the Count thought his family status had changed, his daughter, the concubine, died in an accident. From then on, the position of the Perez family became unstable once again. Before attending this ball, Victor had a conversation with his cousin, Lady Sonia. He doesn't want her to worry about having a good reputation. The world is changing, and what matters now is money and power. Things like weapons, armies, strength. Those are what will help them when trouble comes. It would block everything like a wave. And Victor has found the perfect person to act as his shield, Gilas Black. Our male lead has no idea he is being used. Right now, he is inviting Lady Perez for a dance. The lady pretends to be shy but quickly accepts. She smiles happily and thanks him for choosing her to dance first. She is even more proud when she hears the people around praising them as a good couple. Everyone is sure Victor has chosen Gilas as his brother-in-law. Sonia doesn't dislike those rumors. She even likes the feeling of being in Gilas's arms. He feels so strong, like he would protect her no matter what happens. The only thing she doesn't like is his unknown background. But she is proud when she thinks of how he ignored Evelyn Winter and chose her. It makes her feel superior. Evelyn has no idea someone is comparing herself to her. She is sitting alone because this ball is too boring. She admires Gilas dancing and is proud he didn't embarrass himself at the ball. She remembers the past, when she invited Gilas to be her dance partner. He was so shy and kept refusing, but she forced him to dance with her. He had been so happy back then, listening to all her instructions. Evelyn watches him now and sees he is following every step she taught him, except for the last one. She always told him to keep his eyes on his partner as if she is the most lovely thing on the planet. But right now, he is staring at her. The lady is surprised, but someone comes to distract her. Victor comes over and insists on dancing with her. He pretends to pity her, asking why she is all alone. He suggests that no one is willing to dance with her. Evelyn has no time for his insults and refuses. She tells him she isn't suitable for dancing. She just wants to sit here, but Victor keeps disturbing her. He advises her not to waste her beauty. She might be a widow, but she is still young. This dance is his way of comforting her. Evelyn reminds him he has done a lot of comforting, but he promises her this is just the beginning. Over at the dance floor, Sonia has made a mistake. She is afraid Gilas would be annoyed, but he isn't even looking at her. She follows his gaze and sees he is staring at another couple. Gilas is uncomfortable when he sees the Archduke and Evelyn holding hands. They are clearly preparing to dance together. The dance begins, and so does the drama. Victor asks Evelyn about her business. When she says it is going very well thanks to him, he pretends to be surprised. Evelyn tells him because of his little gift, her secretary is still lying in the hospital treating his injuries. Of course, Victor denies ever doing that. Evelyn is annoyed. She doesn't believe he is really innocent. She tries to talk about the stolen blueprints, but he doesn't listen, forcing her to focus on their dance. He suggests she isn't thinking clearly and tells her to enjoy the dance. Maybe then her mind will be cleared. Sonia is about to lose her mind. Every time she tries to speak to the colonel, she finds him always staring at Evelyn. It happens again, which makes her unhappy. Gilas notices and tries to excuse himself, saying the music is too loud. Suddenly, someone bumps into them. It is the Archduke, and he apologizes for the mistake. Secretly, he gives his cousin a look. Sonia understands what he means. She pretends to slip and then acts like her ankle has been injured. She asks Gilas to take her away to a place she can rest. The two leave, but someone is watching them. Victor tells Evelyn his sister is probably nervous. He doesn't forget to mention how the two perfectly match. He pretends to be worried about Evelyn, but she advises him to worry about his sister. Victor is really shameless. Even after all the mean things he has done to Evelyn, he tells her they should settle and have a relationship. Evelyn would be a fool if she believes him. The song is over and she lets him go. He tries to stop her and force her to continue dancing, but she just ignores him and walks away. Victor really can't do anything about her. Evelyn is a mess. She thought Victor would appear today, proudly flaunting those blueprints. She expected him to propose a deal with her family, but instead he chose to remain silent. She wonders what he wants. Did he just invite her to dance just so he could embarrass her on the dance floor? She imagines herself falling down and everyone laughing at her. Evelyn has no idea what he planned. All she knows is that she hates this injured ankle. She is busy complaining when someone suddenly interrupts her. She didn't expect someone to find her in her hiding place. A man appears and calls her name. Over at the Gilas side, he has taken Sonia into a bedroom and is examining her injury. As expected, there are no injuries, and it isn't broken. Gilas doesn't suspect her of lying and thinks it might just be a muscle spasm. He is busy checking on her, while the lady herself is admiring him. She never noticed it before, but now she sees how handsome he is. He also has a very nice body and is very loyal to her cousin. She finds him interesting and is already thinking about making him hers. Since the girl doesn't answer, Gilas wants to call a doctor. But how could Sonia let him? If the doctor comes, she will be exposed. She tries to get down from the bed, but guess this. She trips again over absolutely nothing. This time she falls into Gilas' arms and hugs him. Dear Evelyn, your man is about to be snatched, but our girl is busy dealing with the stranger that just showed up. He thinks she might have been kicked out like him and desperately begs for her to help him. Upstairs, Sonia is begging Gilas to keep hugging her. She uses the excuse of being nervous and says his hugs make her feel safe. Secretly, she keeps touching his body. I would do the same, girl. She finally notices his necktie. She praises it and wants to know who gifted it to him. She refuses to let him go and keeps hugging him until someone catches them. Evelyn recognizes the man begging for her help. It is Count Theodore. He seems bitter as he insults the people at the ball. He looks down on the commoners, thinking they can never match up to the nobles or have their character. Evelyn doesn't support his idea and warns him to stop saying such reckless things because someone might be listening. The Count thinks she is afraid of those commoners, which makes him angry. He doesn't care what the commoners think and wonders why Evelyn is concerned about their opinions. He thinks they are just lowly people. He finds Evelyn's situation embarrassing. She is already injured, yet she was forced to attend this ball, making everyone laugh at her. He tells her people have been gossiping about her all night, laughing at her behind her back. Evelyn isn't moved by his words. She advises him to leave and stop trying to get back inside. Her words make Theodore more angry. He insists they are nobles. They are not supposed to listen or accept those lowly commoners. Evelyn is done listening to him. Since he isn't leaving, she decides to go back inside. But Theodore is desperate and grabs her. He tells her to listen to him because he has a business proposal. He wants Evelyn to invest in his project. Evelyn is tired and slaps the man. He is shocked, but she tells him everyone already knows about him. He spent all his wealth on gambling, and now he goes about begging for help from everyone without any shame or dignity. Evelyn warns him to just leave the banquet and stop ruining the honor of the nobles. Theodore is furious. He grabs Evelyn and tells her she is the same as he is. Just like him, her finances have become worse. He thinks she is here to find a rich man to marry before it becomes too late. Our girl isn't one to allow herself to be insulted. She immediately kicks Theodore in his groin. She is about to leave, but the man drags her by the hair and slams her head into the ground. He tells her their situations are the same, so she has no right to feel better than him. Gilas has no idea Evelyn is in danger. He is still with Sonia. Someone seems to be spying on them, so he opens the door. But all he sees are two men who seem to be a couple. They immediately run away. He tells Sonia he is going to get a drink for her and uses this chance to escape. He returns to the ball, but he can't find the woman he is looking for. Evelyn is struggling. Theodore is trying to assault her. He knows she can't shout for help because if anyone sees them this way, she will be the one getting blamed. It makes him very bold. Evelyn, however, doesn't need help from anybody. She is sure she can handle trash like him on her own. Theodore tells her to be thankful. He is just trying to give her some pleasure without anyone disturbing her. He has even convinced himself she also wants him. He is about to start when the door suddenly opens and Gilas appears. Sonia is still waiting patiently for Gilas. She is nervous, wondering if the drink would be alcohol. She imagines what would happen if they both get drunk while spending time all alone. She can't wait. But she is going to be disappointed. The fireworks start and she goes to the window to watch them. But what she sees shocks her. Gilas is leaving the party with a woman in his arms. She can see his necktie wrapped around the woman's ankle. Let's go back to a few minutes ago. Gilas, holding a bottle of wine, opens the door only to see Theodore and Evelyn in a compromising situation. Theodore isn't ashamed and is even angry that Gilas is here. He tells the colonel there must be many people waiting for him at the ball and arrogantly orders him to leave. Gilas apologizes for disturbing their enjoyment, but he refuses to leave. He says he got tired of dancing and advises them to go inside since it is getting cold. He even offers to give them his guest room to use. Evelyn is annoyed by how indifferent he looks. This man really sits down there and starts drinking. She refuses to go inside and instead demands that Gilas leaves. He reminds her this is his mansion, and right now, he just feels like staying outside and feeling the breeze. Evelyn is shocked because Gilas seems to be enjoying this. He says he is just enjoying himself, just like she is also doing. Evelyn is so angry, she doesn't think. Since Gilas is enjoying it so much, she won't spoil the fun. She pulls Theodore over and actually kisses him on the lips. But all the time, she keeps watching Gilas, waiting for him to show a reaction. Except the man doesn't. He just calmly keeps drinking. Our girl is frustrated. She takes it out on Theodore, throwing some coins at him and advising him to get some skills. It would be impossible for him to find a rich woman to keep him if he doesn't improve his skills. She tells him the coins are his reward for entertaining her. Theodore is furious and calls her names. He grabs the wine bottle from Gilas and throws it at Evelyn. He is about to attack her again when someone suddenly grabs his throat. He looks at the person strangling him only to see Gilas' angry face. The man looks ready to kill him. The Count is finally afraid and begs Gilas to let him go. Evelyn also doesn't want anything bad to happen. This is a ball Gilas carefully planned. He can't ruin it by himself. He is the owner of the mansion. Gilas isn't willing, but he listens to Evelyn. He lets Theodore go, but the poor man is terrified. He doesn't want to be around Gilas any longer. He is so scared he decides to jump down from the balcony. The party turns into a mess as everyone rushes to call a doctor. The two culprits are annoyed. Evelyn says this is a mess, and Gilas agrees. Now, as the host, he has to go downstairs and fix everything. Evelyn wants him to leave without her, telling him she can go back home on her own. Gilas isn't listening this time. As it is, she can barely stand on those legs right now. Evelyn doesn't answer. People are already searching for Gilas, but the man himself is focused on Evelyn. He wants to see how injured she is. She reminds him Victor is looking for him, but he isn't concerned. He wraps his necktie around her ankle and immediately carries her. At the back, he ignores Victor looking for him and takes Evelyn out of the mansion. Evelyn tells him not to do anything he will regret later, but he doesn't want to listen to her anymore. He tells her to keep quiet. He has prepared a carriage for her and tells the driver to leave from the back gate. He has even prepared guards to watch them. Evelyn tells him he is being too kind. If the Archduke finds out, he will be very furious. Gilas tells her it is none of her business. They both agree this is their worst party ever. The carriage leaves, but while everyone else is celebrating and enjoying the fireworks, our couples are in despair. Gilas slams his hand into the wall. He has no idea what he should do. Evelyn is the same. She is confused about everything that happened. Everything has really become messed up. The Colonel's party is over, but everyone is still talking about the accident that happened during the banquet. Everyone knows that Count Theodore fell from the balcony and broke his leg. Some people think he fell because he was drunk, while others suspect the Colonel might have pushed him. There is also another rumor circulating that a lady was there with them. Evelyn is enjoying her afternoon playing a game of chess when she is told she has a visitor. She is surprised, wondering which guest would show up without sending an invitation first. When they finally see the guest, they are all shocked and look at him in disbelief. It is the Crown Prince, Joshua. Oscar can't believe this is really the Crown Prince. All he remembers was the little boy of back then. When he hears that Joshua is 19 years old, he starts crying. He really can't believe it has been 10 years. The little boy is already an adult now. Evelyn chases the dramatic Oscar away and invites Joshua to sit. Oscar quickly gives him his place. He has been playing chess with Evelyn, but he keeps losing. He is happy to see another scapegoat. Joshua is a bit hesitant. It seems Rowan was really popular and kind back then. Even the Crown Prince has good memories of him. Back then, Joshua would come over to their house and Rowan would teach him how to play chess. Every time they played, Joshua would be amazed by how calm and determined the Duke was. You could never know what he was thinking. Somewhere else, Sonia is still troubled by what she saw during the banquet. She decides to ask her cousin about it. She asks Victor if the Colonel has somebody he likes, but her cousin denies it. He thinks his cousin is just worried about the Colonel not liking her and tells her it is impossible. But Sonia knows what she saw. She decides to mention what happened at the banquet. She tells Victor of the rumors around town. Everyone is saying Evelyn Winter was also on the balcony when Theodore fell. Plus, nobody actually saw her carriage leave that night. The game of chess has ended and Joshua actually lost. Oscar accuses Evelyn of playing dirty, purposely telling Joshua stories of their past to distract him. Evelyn isn't bothered. You should never be distracted in a game. She is done with the fun and wants to know the truth. What exactly happened to make the Crown Prince visit her mansion without even a servant by his side? Gilas is dressing for the day, revealing a back covered with scars. He receives a letter from a man named Scorpion and immediately heads out with his assistant. Unexpectedly, they met the Archduke outside their mansion. He questions Gilas, curious to know where he is going so early. He tells our male lead he wants to speak to him. Joshua finally reveals why he came to see Evelyn. There is a secret society called the Red Hawk Brotherhood who were planning to rebel years ago. Oscar knows them, but according to what he heard, they were destroyed years ago. But that rumor is fake. The Red Hawk Brotherhood still exists. Joshua has seen papers stamped with their seal. Gilas salutes the Archduke, asking why he wasn't informed so he could prepare for his arrival. Victor tells him they don't need such formalities. He gives him a secret look and says they have something to discuss. Joshua is nervous and worried. He has asked around everywhere, from the academy to the royal castle, but nobody is willing to tell him the truth. But he came today with a purpose. In the past, he always lost a game of chess whenever he played with the Duke. Not because the Duke was smart, but because of the woman by his side. Evelyn would sit beside Rowan directing his steps. She would show him the quickest way to win and was like his personal goddess of victory. Every time, Joshua would look at them and wonder. He still remembers Evelyn's promise to play a game with him. He had practiced several times since then. Finally, it is time for them to begin their game of chess. We have 4 undercover spies walking around the market right now. Evelyn, Oscar, Joshua, and Sherry have decided to sneak into the market and investigate the secret society. Except 2 of our spies might have forgotten their jobs. Oscar and Sherry immediately start looking around as soon as they get to the market, even running off to play. Evelyn is frustrated by those 2 children and apologizes to Joshua. He isn't offended and asks her not to treat him like a prince. If someone hears the way she addresses him, all their efforts will be wasted. She decides to call him by his nickname, making the little boy blush. Back at Gilas's mansion, he and the Archduke are confronting each other. He has just offered Victor some tea when the man immediately asks if it was a gift from Evelyn. He pretends to be joking, but tells Gilas he heard some very interesting rumors. He tells Gilas Sonia is suspicious of the relationship between him and Evelyn. Victor knows Evelyn was with Theodore during the banquet, but he wants to know how she left. Gilas admits he was the one who sent her away. Victor wants to know why. Gilas says everything would become troublesome if any rumors about her spread. It is the first time our crown prince is being embarrassed this way. He is strolling the streets with Evelyn when an old woman suddenly stops him and asks him to buy some fruit. She praises him for being handsome. Everything is going fine until the woman asks him to buy the fruit for his wife. He is flustered and rushes to deny it. Evelyn saves him by telling the woman they are siblings. She acts normal and even haggles with the price like a commoner. But when they leave, she advises Joshua to be careful. He mustn't pay attention to what the seller says. If he does it next time, it will make people suspect they are hiding their identity. Joshua suddenly tells Evelyn there is nothing she doesn't know. He can't wait to become as smart as she is. Evelyn tells him he is already excellent, but he doesn't agree. He keeps comparing himself to Rowan. When Joshua first met Rowan, he was just 19, but he was already impressive. Since then, Joshua struggled to be at the top of his class. Everyone in the continent already knows his name, all praising him as the genius of the next generation. But Joshua himself feels it is not enough. Every time he compares himself to Rowan, it feels like he is never doing enough. Victor is still desperate to know why Gilas sent Evelyn away. Our male lead has found the perfect reason. They have to prevent rumors of Evelyn from spreading. Only then will the man they think is pretending to be dead finally appear. Victor is shocked. It seems Gilas has found out where Rowan is. Evelyn and Joshua are still walking around the market when a little girl stops them. She hasn't sold a single flower today and begs them to buy from her. Joshua immediately stops and starts talking to the girl. He promises to buy all her flowers. Looking at him, Evelyn sees another person in him. She tells him to stop comparing himself to Rowan. There is no need to act like him. Gilas doesn't know where exactly Rowan is hiding, but he has a clue. If they quietly track him, they might find a clue about him soon. The little girl has sold all her flowers. She thanks them and runs into a little street. Evelyn is watching her, so she sees when someone stops the girl and pats her head. Evelyn will know that figure anywhere. That is her husband, Rowan. Evelyn sees a strange man who looks just like her husband. She keeps staring in that direction until Joshua distracts her. He buys a bouquet of flowers, which he hands over to Evelyn, hoping to make her happy. Well, she can't refuse the crown prince and accepts them. He suggests they head to another area, but she isn't listening. She keeps looking back at that hidden corner, but the person has disappeared. Gilas sends off the Archduke. He looks very happy since he knows Rowan Winter will be caught. Gilas's assistant also wants to know what should be done to Rowan and suggests they kill him. Gilas doesn't agree. He wants the man to be brought back alive, even if he struggles. The assistant agrees but is confused. This behavior is completely different from Gilas's methods in the past. The colonel has changed. Gilas might have changed, but it is certainly not for good. He has been betrayed by Evelyn Winter, and this is his revenge for her. He won't give her husband a quick death. He will drag Rowan back to die a slow death together with Evelyn. His mind might treat her like an enemy, but his heart still remembers the way she held him. He keeps thinking about her and burns himself in his distraction. He becomes so frustrated that he decides to go out for a walk. While Evelyn and Joshua are working hard, Oscar and little Sherry are having fun. This time, Sherry forces Oscar to buy her some chocolates. Sherry's love for chocolates reminds Oscar of Rowan. Back then, every time they went on vacation, the man would buy a bunch of chocolates. Oscar assumed Rowan liked them, but the man only bought them as a gift for Evelyn. Oscar finally realizes who they were for and regrets being so ignorant in the past. He gets a mini heart attack when he sees little Sherry snooping around someone's carriage. He warns her to stay away, but would the girl listen? Joshua and Evelyn have no idea what the two mischievous kids are doing. They have found important evidence. The Red Hawk Society is leaving messages across the city. They seem to be gathering influence. Just then, Evelyn notices a strange man behind them. She pretends to put a scarf around Joshua. The young boy is already blushing, but Evelyn just wants to warn him about their stalker. She suggests they split up and meet at the city's back gate, but Joshua refuses. He is worried about Evelyn, but the lady whacks him on his butt. Evelyn sends away the clingy kid, but she doesn't head to the back gate as she told him. Instead, she runs back to that hidden alley. She seems obsessed with finding Rowan and indeed sees someone who looks like him. But it isn't Rowan. It turns out to be a sleazy man bullying a little kid. The man doesn't look pleased to see her. Evelyn is sure she saw her husband and refuses to accept the truth. She doesn't notice she has been surrounded until it is too late. Some street thugs gather around Evelyn. The leader is excited to see a woman in their area. He refuses to believe she got lost and takes off her cap. He is very excited when he sees how beautiful she is. Since she has fallen into his hands, he decides not to let her go until he has some fun with her. He keeps speaking, but our girl just treats him like a nuisance. Before she can do anything, a hero appears to save the beauty. Not like she needs it. We can't see his face, but a strange man arrives to protect Evelyn. As expected of the heroine, there will always be someone coming to save her. A handsome man appears. He pretends to be her husband and warns the thugs to leave. Evelyn is confused because she knows him. He is one of Gilas's soldiers. The thugs are unaware, and one even dares to challenge him. What a pity. The soldier gives him a good trashing, scaring the rest of the men. He looks ready to break the thug's hand, but Evelyn stops him. She doesn't like seeing blood and suggests they leave. Her pretend husband is very obedient and agrees. The thug sees them leaving and becomes bold again. He starts yelling at them, but his friend stops him. He finally realizes who that man is. He is Gilas Black's right-hand man. Evelyn has been saved by Gilas's man, but she doesn't look very thankful. While the man is unguarded, she quickly brings out a gun and points it in his face. He quickly begs for forgiveness, but Evelyn doesn't plan to let him go. She is sure the man has been following her. He tries to tell her she is wrong, but Evelyn doesn't listen. She thinks Gilas must have ordered him to watch her. The soldier explains he was on patrol. He couldn't ignore her when he noticed she was in trouble. Just like us, Evelyn wonders why he isn't in uniform, and he reveals it is his off day. Such a good employee, working during his break. He regrets it now because instead of receiving thanks, a gun is pointed at his head. Our heroine finally calms down and asks for the man's name. He is Derek Howard, a lieutenant in the army. She promises to remember him and hands him a handkerchief before leaving. Our heroine was right. Derek is suspicious. As soon as she leaves, he is approached by the little girl who is being bullied in the alley. It turns out everything was a plan, and the child demands her pay. He threatens her to stay silent and then hands the money over. Just what is going on? Gilas doesn't know what his assistant is planning. He heads to a shop to buy some sweets. From the owner's greetings, he seems to be a regular customer. We guessed right. The shop owner's son offers him some candy for being a regular. His father is frightened because Gilas only likes one type of candy, but our male lead accepts it. Our male lead keeps running into children today. But this time, it is a child he knows. Someone pulls his clothes, and when he looks down, little Sherry is clinging to him. He is shocked because she suddenly starts crying. Our male lead is surprised to see little Sherry here, especially since she looks so distressed. Maybe he will hug her and comfort her. He pushes her away. The little girl is shocked by how heartless the man is, but she doesn't give up. She runs after him and holds onto his clothes. We see a funny scene next. Gilas keeps walking while poor Sherry is dragged across the floor. The people around him all blame him, but Gilas really doesn't care. He takes the girl to a restaurant, but not to feed her. He finds it suspicious that she is all alone and tells her how dangerous it is. He orders her to explain why she is here, but Sherry remains mute. Even her little mouth disappears. Well, her stomach does all the talking and growls loudly. Gilas orders some food for the child. Sherry is about to enjoy her delicious meal, but the plate is suddenly pulled away from her. She stares in shock at the culprit, but Gilas isn't bothered. He states his rule. No food until she answers him. The poor girl starts twitching. She does about 50 gestures until Gilas finally understands she can't speak, but that won't stop him from finishing his interrogation. He hands her a paper and a pen to write down her answers. The two are finally satisfied. Sherry finally gets her food while Gilas receives his answers. Turns out Sherry came on a trip, got lost, and is now asking him for a carriage ride back home. She is really asking too much from this heartless man. He says he didn't ride a carriage and instead took a walk to relax. He encourages the child. It took him an hour to walk over, so it might take her a day. But she shouldn't give up. Sherry has been shocked by this man so many times. She gestures, accusing Gilas of being a soldier yet failing at his duties. Our male lead has the perfect excuse. Today is his off day. Unlike Derek, he won't be working today. He is done talking to her and tries to leave, except Sherry blocks him. Gilas looks really scary. He thinks Sherry is really ignorant and tells her she has been abandoned. He believes Evelyn has finally abandoned her mute daughter because she is a burden. He is even surprised she kept her for so long. He tries to leave, but Sherry holds on to him again. This time, he advises her to go to the orphanage and secure a spot. He really leaves the child there and walks away, but Sherry is just as stubborn as her mother. She writes on a card and chases Gilas. He has to admit she is really stubborn. He reads the card, but she is just defending her mother. She says Evelyn isn't a bad person and would never abandon her. She even promises Gilas a prize if he takes her home. Gilas feels pity for her. He thinks she doesn't understand because she is too young, but we see something shocking. The paper Sherry gave to Gilas actually has the red hawk symbol. He is shocked and questions her, asking where she got the paper. He is so desperate for answers, he even offers his hand for her to write on. But little Sherry is very smart. She says she will only answer him if he takes her home. Gilas is amused by the little child and finally agrees. Our heroine is in trouble again. After leaving Derek, she finds a place to sit. She thinks she might have imagined someone stalking her. She is feeling pretty relaxed until she hears the people gossiping about her. They all think she is the cause of the country's failure and call her a witch. They are determined to get rid of her. Evelyn quickly hides her face, knowing she must not be seen. She knows she can't stay here any longer and stands up. But it is too late. She can't see him, but behind her back, a man approaches with a gun. Evelyn isn't the only noble roaming the streets. Sonia has also sneaked out of the Archduke's mansion. Her anxious maid keeps complaining, and Sonia stops her, afraid her ears would fall off. But her trip is not in vain because she sees a familiar figure. Somehow she has managed to run into Gilas. The lady is delighted and runs up to him. She wants them to have a drink together, but our male lead is very busy. Right now, he is trying to get rid of the clingy Sherry. Sonia is shocked to see the little girl and imagines the worst scenario. What if this child belongs to Colonel Black? Thankfully, the man denies it. Sonia notices they don't look alike and finally relaxes. Now that she knows she isn't Gilas' child, she is very friendly to the girl. She keeps asking her questions until Gilas reveals the child is mute. Sonia is embarrassed and decides to just call the girl Little One. Sherry doesn't look pleased with her new nickname. I'm afraid she might bite Sonia soon. Sonia is still curious and wonders if he is taking care of a relative's child. Gilas tries to avoid answering and just says he met the child by accident. The lady still wants to spend time with him and offers to eat lunch together. Gilas doesn't want to interact with her, so he refuses, explaining he just ate. Unfortunately, his little teammate ruins his plans. At the mention of food, Sherry starts drooling. Now our male lead is forced to have this meal. The two arrive at the restaurant, and Sonia keeps serving Sherry. The little girl has learned her lesson and immediately hides her food from the heartless Gilas. The two glare at each other until the man gives in and goes out to smoke. He leaves, and Sherry starts enjoying her food. Sonia keeps asking her questions, desperate to know more about Gilas. Wrong choice. Sherry's only concern is the food. Sonia is actually unhappy because Gilas refuses to speak to her, but seeing him with Sherry, she is sure he is a kind man. One look at Sherry's face, and we can tell she doesn't agree with the woman. Lady Sonia isn't concerned. She has heard many rumors about Gilas. They all say he is mean, but she doesn't believe them. Being with Gilas makes her feel like she has an older brother. Her cousin, the Archduke, also treats her well, but he is really scary. Sonia admits she was scared of Gilas at first, but seeing him with Sherry now makes her think he is a nice person. Gilas watches the two females talking and finds it funny. He wonders how everything ended up like this. But just remembering Sherry as Evelyn's daughter makes him sick. They are all disgusting people. A few seconds ago, the street was quiet, but now everything is in chaos. Someone has been shot and everyone is running away. Sonia is confused and rushes to meet Gilas. He advises her to leave immediately, but they are faced with another problem. Little Sherry is missing. Sonia could swear she was just holding the child's hands. They search for her, but Gilas sees her first. She looks very frightened and is hiding in a corner. Sonia's maid wants her to leave, but she insists on staying with Gilas. Meanwhile, the man isn't thinking about her. He remembers the last time Sherry was kidnapped. He tells Sonia to leave because he can't escort her. While the lady is confused, he goes to Sherry's side. He wants the little girl to stand up, but she can barely hear him. He complains and calls her annoying, but still gently carries her. Joshua has arrived at the back gate, but he still can't find Evelyn. He discovers another problem. His wallet has been stolen. The future king is in shock. He never thought such a thing could happen to him. He is still complaining when someone suddenly sneaks up on him. Relax, everyone. It is just his friend, Max. Like all friends, he is very sad to hear that Joshua has been robbed and is now penniless. He is so sad. He laughs for several hours. Joshua regrets meeting this guy. After mocking him, Max finally offers to take him back. Except the Crown Prince refuses. He proudly says he is waiting for someone and even starts blushing. He really can't hide anything. His friend notices and starts teasing him. He wants to know who the mystery woman is. Joshua tries to chase him away, but Max refuses. He can't leave the innocent Joshua alone in this dangerous world. He says he wants to escort him, but he is just trying to find out who Joshua is in love with. The prince tries to deny it, but no one believes him. His face reveals his secret because we can all see how hard he is blushing. Max wonders what he should do with this innocent man who knows nothing about women. He decides to help him. He suggests they go drinking so he can give the prince some advice, but Joshua refuses. He isn't going to take advice from a flirt like Max. The two are having fun until they hear a gunshot. Sherry is dreaming. Evelyn holds her close, calling her a precious treasure. She tells her not to be afraid and promises to always protect her. The little girl wakes up, but instead of her lovely mother, she sees the scary Gilas carrying her. As expected, the man is still heartless. Once he notices the little girl is awake, he flings her away like a sack of potatoes. He warns her to keep up with him, but he is walking too fast. The little girl can only hold on to the ends of his coat. Gilas finally feels some pity and offers to hold her hand. The two walk in silence, but something seems strange. They keep staring at each other. It is more adorable when we see Sherry's little hands holding Gilas' thumb. The sweet moment is destroyed when they hear someone calling Sherry's name. Poor Oscar is having a meltdown in the middle of the street. Sherry is missing, and he is already imagining his death. Evelyn will surely kill him if he can't find her precious daughter. He is crying bitterly only to see the culprit staring at him. The heartless Sherry wastes no time and abandons the fierce Gilas. He probably thinks she is just like her mother. Except the little girl turns back to give him his reward. She hands him a sweet. The man accepts it but asks Sherry a very important question. He wants to know her age. The girl reveals she is 9, and Gilas realizes something. He allows her to leave, but inside he is calculating. 10 years ago, he was chased out of the Duke's mansion. Little Sherry is 9 years old, which means Evelyn got pregnant the same year he was chased out. The most shocking thing. He remembers sleeping with Evelyn that same year. What could this mean? We will never know because the man stops thinking about it. He thinks it is just a useless thought. He suddenly notices a commotion at the other side of the street. We see Joshua and Max shouting and looking scared. As always, Gilas is uninterested, until he sees a familiar walking stick. Even worse, there is a hat and basket stained with blood, and it looks exactly like the one Evelyn was holding. Rewind to a few hours ago. Evelyn is about to leave when a man suddenly sneaks up behind her and points a gun at her head. Our heroine also brings out her gun, but the man is prepared. He immediately grabs her neck and pushes her into an alley. He seems to be someone she has offended, as Evelyn recognizes his face. Back to the present, the soldiers have begun their investigation. Gilas listens as a citizen reveals he heard 2 gunshots and saw a man in a hood carrying a woman away. They are disturbed when a man pushes his way in. It turns out to be Joshua. The prince greets Gilas, who pretends to be surprised. Joshua isn't happy because he knows the colonel already noticed him, yet he pretended not to see him. Gilas defends himself and says he was afraid to bother the prince since he was pretending to be a civilian. He isn't interested in speaking to Joshua and advises him to return to the palace. The boy is still concerned about Evelyn and asks if Gilas can really find her. He knows the colonel is praised as the best tracker and hands him Evelyn's scarf. He blames himself for the incident and begs Gilas to find her. They all seem to forget how heartless Gilas is. He even tells the prince he has no authority to order him around. Joshua can't argue because that is the truth. He becomes desperate when he sees Gilas is about to leave. He offers to fulfill the colonel's request if he finds Evelyn. He even promises to bear full responsibility for the incident. Gilas finally looks at the young boy and tells him not to feel guilty. Everyone knows Evelyn has a lot of enemies, so it isn't his fault. He tells Joshua his order isn't important because he already planned to find Evelyn. He grabs the scarf from him and leaves. He tells Derek they will be returning to the military. Their holiday has unfortunately ended. He orders him to send a search party out and reminds him to hurry up. Meanwhile, Joshua watches the colonel leave. He seems to have realized something. Our heroine isn't doing too well. She wakes up to find herself tied up in a shed in the middle of the woods. Her kidnapper has taken off his hood, and he isn't very happy. Because of the gunshots, he almost got caught. Evelyn recognizes that face. It is Joseph. He was the servant who got caught messing around with a maid and was chased away. He blames her for all the troubles he faced after leaving the Duke's mansion and starts hitting her. He reminds her of the promise he made that day. One day, he would kill her. Well, that day has finally arrived. He tells her a secret. The Red Hawk Brotherhood is offering a reward to anyone who kills her. Evelyn wants to know if he was the one who hurt her assistant, Isaac, and kidnapped Sherry. He admits he was the culprit. He even regrets letting Sherry escape. His plan was to kill her while Evelyn watches. He sees Evelyn standing up and assumes she wants to attack him. He is waiting for her to hit him, but she kneels at his feet and begs for his help. She's obviously seducing him and promises to do anything he wants if he lets her go. Evelyn begs for the man's help and promises to do anything he wants. Joseph is shocked because Evelyn knows his secret. She knows he wants her and offers to do anything he wishes. The man mocks her and calls her behavior shameful, yet he eagerly agrees to her request. He is desperate to see if she is really worth it. Gilas has no idea his beloved is about to sell herself. He keeps searching for her and refuses to leave, even when the snowfall gets heavy. His hard work finally pays off because the tracking dog starts barking. It must have caught her scent. Joseph is ready to have fun with the woman of his dreams. He never knew this day would come. He advises her to do it properly and is waiting for the pleasure to begin. But the only thing he receives is a kick to his groin. The man falls into the fire pit with his alcohol and sets himself on fire. Evelyn runs out, but Joseph doesn't give up. He chases after her and keeps shooting. Evelyn knows she can't die like this. She has survived many attacks, so she can't let him kill her. Things get weird when she looks up and suddenly sees her dead husband, Rowan, waiting for her. Evelyn wants to chase after him, but someone suddenly stops her. It is Gilas, but Evelyn doesn't seem to recognize him. She pushes him away and keeps chasing after Rowan. Gilas thinks she is trying to escape from the investigation until he sees her face. Something is wrong. He follows her and tells her to stop. He even promises not to harm her, warning her that the place she is heading to is dangerous. But Evelyn can't hear him. Gilas becomes desperate and starts begging. He notices her injuries and finally calls her by her nickname. Our heroine stops hallucinating only to discover she is standing at the edge of a cliff. She turns back and is surprised to see Gilas. He begs her to come to him. He says it is dangerous, but Evelyn doesn't listen. Rowan keeps calling her. The two men start a tug of war, each one telling Evelyn to follow him. She chooses to follow Rowan, and at that same moment, she gets shot. Our heroine falls off the cliff. She finally realizes why she kept seeing her dead husband. He is here to get her. She thinks Gilas will be upset because his revenge has ended. But when she looks at his face, he looks like he is about to cry. He is completely heartbroken. Our heroine has fallen off the cliff, but her man jumps off with her. The two land in a river at the bottom of the cliff. Gilas holds his beloved, calling her name, but she doesn't move. He becomes desperate when he notices the bleeding injury on her shoulder. Thankfully, there is a hidden cave in the distance. Our heroine wakes up. She is surprised to see herself next to a fire with Gilas by her side. He has already treated her wounds, which ended up just being a scratch. He wants to know who the kidnapper was, and Evelyn reveals it was her servant, Joseph. He hated her for chasing him away. Gilas tells her she is gathering a lot of hatred from the people. Evelyn says she doesn't keep greedy people around her. She wants to know why Gilas saved her. It would have been best if he allowed her to die there. He claims it is his duty to save people. He is curious about her leg injury, and Evelyn reveals she stepped into a trap while hunting. I know we don't believe that. Even Gilas doesn't. He asks her again, but she tells him to stop bothering about such useless things. The two sit in silence until Evelyn suddenly starts coughing. She struggles to sit up, which alarms Gilas. He wants to know if her chest hurts. He is afraid she might have injured her ribs and plans to treat her. Evelyn mocks him, thinking he is just playing around, but our man is serious. He pushes her down and orders her to stay still. The girl is panicking. Gilas shows her no mercy and pins her down, holding her hands above her head. He warns her to stay still, but Evelyn keeps kicking his head. Now he has no choice but to pin her legs, too. The man tells her to stop struggling. He really wants to check on her. He warns her a broken rib might injure her lungs, causing them to bleed. She will cough up blood till she dies. He tells her to cooperate if she doesn't want to die, but our heroine cannot. His hand on her waist is stirring her desire. He keeps touching her waist and wants to know if it hurts, but Evelyn doesn't answer. Wrong choice, because now the man takes off his gloves and touches her directly. Our heroine cannot take it anymore. Even her toes are curling. She begs him to stop. Evelyn begs Gilas to stop torturing her. He notices how desperate she looks and finally stops. He says her rib isn't broken and lets her go. Because of her struggles, her wounds have reopened. He offers to help her wrap the bandages, but she slaps his hand away. She warns him not to touch her. He doesn't argue and tosses the bandages to her, telling her to do it herself. He seems to be leaving, making Evelyn panic. She asks where he is going. He says he is just going to fetch more firewood and promises not to run away. While our couple is having a small honeymoon, the capital is in chaos. Joshua has returned to the palace with Max, but he is still worried about Evelyn. Max knows Evelyn was his companion and tries to comfort him. But he is also worried about Joshua. He tries to advise him and reminds the prince that Evelyn is a widow. The prince doesn't seem to care, which annoys Max. He tells the prince that Evelyn is known as a witch who killed her husband. Joshua isn't pleased with him, asking if a widow deserves to be kidnapped and murdered. Max tries to explain, but Joshua stops him. He says Evelyn is a citizen of Altaric, so he is going to protect her. He warns Max to speak carefully next time. Inside, Joshua is furious. He remembers Gilas saying he doesn't have the authority to command him and the man's pledge to find Evelyn. It makes him very worried. Over at the cave, Gilas returns with some firewood, only to see Evelyn looking weak. He pushes some chocolate into her mouth, which surprises her. She wonders where he found one, and he reveals that Sherry gave it to him. Evelyn suddenly becomes anxious, wondering how he met Sherry and if he harmed her. He doesn't answer her questions and only mentions Sherry's age. The woman is immediately on guard and wants to know why he is asking. He has noticed how small Sherry looks. She looks so small, he actually thought she was younger. He doesn't say anything, but Evelyn is already warning him not to deceive himself. This is really suspicious. Gilas doesn't respond and only reminds her to change the bandages. Leaving it on might cause an infection. She warns him to mind his business and says she will take care of herself. The man really listens and goes to sleep directly. Evelyn thinks he is asleep. She starts taking off her clothes to change the bandages, but Gilas is still awake. He secretly turns to watch her, and once she takes off her shirt, he is shocked to see that her back is full of scars. Our heroine takes off her clothes, and we see that her back is covered in scars. Gilas is shocked to see it. He stops pretending to be asleep and approaches her, offering to help her rewrap the bandages. Our heroine is freaking out. She isn't wearing any clothes right now. She tells the man to wait, but he doesn't listen. She covers her chest with a shirt, but still feels shy. Unfortunately, the man doesn't even look at her. He is only concerned about treating her wounds. He focuses on the injury, but his touch makes Evelyn blush. I wonder what she's thinking because even her toes are curling up again. But Gilas doesn't notice. He is done and turns around for her to change. He mentions how different she seems, and Evelyn says everything changes with time. He asks about her scars, but as always, Evelyn mocks him. He is done with her sarcasm and warns her to stop playing games with him. Our heroine finally explains how she got those scars. When she was younger, she lived with the Duke's sons, who were also her cousins. The boys never liked her and were eager to chase her away. Gilas still remembers the two brothers, Cedric and Leo Winter. Turns out our heroine made a bet with the boys. She allowed Cedric to hit her with a riding whip and promised to leave the Duke's estate if she made a sound during the beating. But if she stayed silent throughout and the man hitting her got tired, he would grant her wish. What a twisted game. Gilas scolds her for making such a ridiculous bet. He wants to know why she did it, and she says there was something she desperately wanted. Gilas steps outside again to fire the signal flare. He is worried because it is getting late. He returns to the cave only to see the coat Evelyn was wearing lying on the floor. The woman is missing. He starts panicking, searching everywhere for her until he hears her coughing. She seems to be cold and has crawled to the fire. He is relieved and tries to feed her some water, but she doesn't respond. He panics and calls her name desperately until she opens her eyes. But she is hallucinating again. She keeps calling him honey and tells him to pick her up. Left with no choice, our male lead picks the next option. He feeds her the water with his mouth. Evelyn finally opens her eyes and is shocked. She struggles, but the man keeps kissing her. She manages to push him away, but he advises her to keep kissing him. He continues feeding her the water through this method. At some point, he throws the water pot away and just focuses on their kiss. The two kiss for a long time until Evelyn can't bear it anymore. She pushes him away and says she is feeling better. She sneaks another look at him, only to find the man staring at her. He looks like he is holding himself back. There is so much tension, and it seems like something intimate might happen. Unfortunately, Gilas ruins everything when he runs out of the cave. Back at the capital, Joshua is still worried. He is even staying over at Evelyn's mansion. He runs out without even putting on a coat, ignoring the worried Max. He is eager to meet with Derek, but the soldier doesn't have any news. It has been 2 days since Evelyn went missing, and they still haven't found her. Derek is also worried because their colonel is missing. The heavy snowfall is slowing down their work. Max isn't that worried. He believes Evelyn will be fine as long as she is with Gilas. But that is exactly what Joshua is worried about. Oscar arrives and scolds Joshua. It turns out the prince hasn't been sleeping. The man is upset and warns Joshua to stop behaving like a child. Derek also advises him to stop worrying. They all believe Evelyn will be fine as long as she is with the colonel. Joshua tries to pretend he isn't worried, but he isn't fooling anyone. Even Derek has noticed his strange behavior. Everyone keeps telling the prince Evelyn would be fine, but the thought of her alone with the colonel is what gives him a headache. Another day has passed and the snow has finally stopped. Gilas is relieved because this means the search party will find them soon. He returns to the cave only to find out Evelyn is sick. She has a fever and is already suffering from chills. This isn't good. The man almost faints when Evelyn suddenly pulls him close. Like a shy teenage girl, he pushes her away in fright. It makes Evelyn laugh, and she calls him silly. She tells him to stop acting recklessly so he won't fall out of favor with the Archduke. He has to behave properly if he wants to survive. It is nighttime, and Evelyn's condition has gotten worse. She is hallucinating again. Gilas is worried because her body temperature has dropped. At this rate, she might die. Our male lead has no choice. He takes off his clothes, and we see that his back is covered in scars. Since the fire isn't enough to warm her, he will use his body to keep her warm. He even gently massages her foot. Our heroine finally wakes up. She doesn't say it, but she is annoyed with him. His compassion is exactly what makes him silly. The couple remains in that position till morning. Our heroine wakes up and is amazed by the man's handsome face. He is still asleep, and she tries to secretly touch him. The phone rings right at that moment. Our girl immediately plays dead. Gilas wakes up and looks at her. He is probably wondering why her face is so red even when sleeping. Our couple has finally arrived in the capital. Joshua rushes outside, only to see the colonel carrying his beloved. The two men glare at each other. Oscar is worried, afraid Evelyn might be injured. Gilas assures them she is fine and explains her injuries are only minor. Oscar is relieved, but before he can say anything, Joshua suddenly stops him. He thanks Gilas for saving Evelyn and orders him to hand the woman over to him. Our male lead is no pushover. He refuses to let Evelyn go and tells Joshua not to bother. He even walks past him. The boy becomes annoyed and grabs Gilas. He tries to use his position as prince to bully the colonel. He reminds Gilas he is just a soldier and shouldn't disobey him. The woman they are fighting over is tired of their nonsense. She tells Gilas to put her down, and Joshua seizes the opportunity. He offers to escort her to her room, but Evelyn refuses. She reminds him that people are watching. It is very inappropriate for him to carry her. She tells him to go back, but Joshua is reluctant. She reminds him that the banquet is approaching, so they have to be careful. Our heroine's body is still weak. She can't bear it anymore and suddenly faints. Joshua tries to hold her, but someone catches her first. Gilas saves Evelyn and hands her over to Oscar. The man immediately takes her away and tells the men to leave. Just then, little Sherry runs outside. Gilas is pleased to meet her and reminds her she still owes him. He wants her to sneak him inside to see her mother. Joshua interrupts them. He takes Sherry away and accuses Gilas of trying to harm a child. He hides Sherry behind him and promises to protect the girl. Gilas takes one look at them and mocks Joshua. He says the prince really looks like Sherry. They could even be siblings. Joshua is annoyed and asks what nonsense he is saying. Gilas apologizes and says he thought Joshua would like to hear such words. The boy immediately attacks the colonel. He thinks Gilas is just acting bold because the Archduke is supporting him. He warns him to speak carefully. He wouldn't tolerate him insulting Evelyn. The colonel apologizes for overstepping, but we know he doesn't mean it. We are right because in the next second, he gives Joshua some advice. He tells the boy that Evelyn doesn't like fancy men who act like silly kids. She has really awful taste. The prince can't control his anger and punches Gilas. His men all panic and try to hold him back. Meanwhile, the man he hit isn't concerned. Gilas apologizes for offending him again and says he was just trying to give him some advice. He leaves, ignoring the prince who keeps yelling for him to come back. Gilas doesn't respond. He thinks Joshua is just ignorant. A woman like Evelyn is a demon. To her, love is just like hunting. Her only thrill is catching her prey. She might look pretty, but her true self is demonic. He still remembers how she abandoned him 10 years ago. He warned Joshua so the boy wouldn't end up like him. Evelyn's deception would lead them to their graves. Evelyn is spending time with her daughter. The two are painting together. Or rather, destroying a painting. Evelyn says she wants to draw a bird, but it looks like a very ugly chicken. She blames it on her injuries, but Oscar exposes her. She has never been good at painting. The poor boy receives a beating for that statement and starts crying again. They are having fun when someone suddenly interrupts them. A visitor arrives and barges into the room. Archduke Victor is here. The man can't be here for anything good. He has heard about Evelyn's injuries, but instead of being happy to see her healthy, he feels it is a shame. He has brought a present for Evelyn. Well, that is if a dead fox counts as a gift. He claims it might help her recover. Evelyn is as polite as always and accepts the gift. Since she doesn't get angry, Victor looks for other ways to annoy her. He notices Oscar and acts surprised to see him. He says it is weird for an unmarried man to stay at a widow's house. He seems to be implying that they are together and trying to start a new family. He suddenly mentions a woman's name and asks if Oscar has forgotten about her. Evelyn stops him from talking. She knows how much that name affects Oscar. Back then, Oscar was forced into an arranged marriage, but he fell in love with his fiancée. Everyone thought they would end up together, until Victor interfered. He was always jealous of Rowan. He hated him so much that he even targeted Rowan's friends. He stole Oscar's fiancée and even caused her death. Oscar still remembers his fiancée, Angelica. He is annoyed that Victor has forgotten her name and warns him not to insult the dead. The Archduke doesn't care. He says the girl wasn't beautiful enough for her name to be remembered. Oscar decides to leave since Victor keeps mocking the girl. Our heroine isn't pleased and wants to know why the Archduke is here. He says the king asked him to bring Evelyn to the palace immediately. He didn't even change and came here in his hunting clothes. He announces there is an urgent meeting. Evelyn is worried. She wonders why the king would call for a meeting so urgently. She suspects his condition has worsened. Victor wonders why she is so quiet, and she says she isn't feeling well. He remembers she has been shot and suddenly tries to take off her clothes, demanding to see her injuries. Evelyn tries to push him away, but he is too strong. He claims he is an expert, which might be true because he notices the bullet only scratched her. For some reason, he suddenly describes how he hunts his foxes. He first beats them until they are half dead and then lets them go. His hunting dogs would trail the fox back to its home and then devour its children. That is a malicious death, but Victor says watching it makes him very happy. What a twisted man. They are interrupted by Gilas. He opens the carriage and sees Victor holding Evelyn. He ignores them and reports to the Archduke. He has questioned the man who kidnapped Evelyn, and suspects the rebels might have planned it. But before they could get his confession, Joseph ended his life. Victor doesn't really care about that. His focus is on meeting the king. As soon as he leaves, Gilas offers to help Evelyn, but she refuses. They head to the throne room and Victor turns into a drama king again. The king is speechless and finally announces why he summoned them. He plans to announce his heir during his birthday banquet. Victor isn't happy and says they can't make a decision without the officials. Well, the king disappoints him. He says Evelyn has now been appointed as duke. She will follow Joshua to the monastery to fetch the holy water. This must be the most uncomfortable carriage ride ever. Somebody decided to put Evelyn, Gilas, and Joshua in the same space. The men refuse to look at each other while our heroine just sighs. Back to a day ago. The king has just declared that Evelyn will head to Yeneva with Joshua. Victor immediately complains. He believes the king is making a wrong decision by handing such an important secret mission to Evelyn. The king declares his decision is final, and they must obey it. Victor is restless and decides to accompany them. The king reminds him that he is the commander of the army. He warns him to stop being careless and to just focus on his duties. Victor is furious until Gilas offers to escort them. He becomes happy, thinking the colonel is helping him. He tries to convince the king to let Gilas accompany them. He says there is no one more loyal than him in the country. And that is how this horrible carriage ride began. The king sending Joshua to fetch the holy oil means he has chosen him as his heir. But Evelyn is worried about the boy. She suddenly touches him, thinking he is sick. She ignores Gilas watching them and even tells Joshua to lean on her shoulder and sleep. The boy keeps refusing, but Evelyn just forces him to rest on her. She really just wants him to rest, but the prince is already blushing. If looks could kill, Joshua would probably be dead by now. Gilas is glaring so hard at him. The three arrive at the temple in Yeneva. There are too many rituals to perform, so they will be staying in the temple for several days. They arrive just in time for the prayer, and the priest asks them to join. Our male lead is still bothered and tells Evelyn she is pampering Joshua too much. Evelyn wants to focus on the prayer, which shocks Gilas. He never knew she believed in God. Evelyn says she does and asks if he has prayed before. Gilas hasn't, but he has once made a vow before God. Back then, Evelyn had dragged him into a temple and made him swear to be hers. Now that he remembers it, he thinks it is all pointless. The prayers continue, but our male lead looks away. Our heroine is taking a walk at night when she sees Joshua. She can tell he is worried and wants to know why. He reveals he is worried about his father. Turns out the king spoke to him and told him to prepare for his death. But Joshua isn't ready. He blames himself for being too weak. Evelyn comforts him. She assures him he isn't weak. She promises to always be by his side when he needs comfort. Joshua asks her to make a vow before God, and she does. The man hugs her, but Evelyn isn't bothered. She thinks he is just a child and is only doing this so he wouldn't become weak. But the prince isn't as innocent as she thought. Behind her back, he stares at someone. Gilas is enjoying a smoke when he suddenly sees the two. Joshua is enjoying the feeling of hugging Evelyn so much. Our heroine finally complains, and he releases her. He hugged her so hard that her injuries started bleeding again. He panics and runs around trying to find a doctor. Evelyn is happy to see him being silly again and laughs. They continue teasing each other and head back to the temple. No one notices the cigarettes on the floor. Our heroine is in trouble. In a hidden place, the Red Hawk Society is holding a meeting. Evelyn's picture is on the table. They plan to head to the Yeneva Monastery and get rid of her. Evelyn has no idea she is being targeted. The next morning, they head to the temple for the ritual. The priest begins and hands Joshua the holy water. He is about to make his pledge when they are suddenly attacked. Several masked men appear with weapons and plan to kill everyone. One of them attacks Joshua and is about to kill him. Evelyn comes to his rescue and shoots the man. She warns Joshua to leave. She is too busy protecting the prince and is almost stabbed by one of the men, but Gilas saves her. He is shocked to see her holding the gun. They were supposed to hand over all weapons before entering the temple. Evelyn reminds him that this isn't the time for questions. The priests focus on saving the nobles while Gilas prepares to defend them. He is going to fight the men alone and is prepared to fulfill his mission. The battle begins, and our male lead seems to be winning. But he is soon outnumbered, and one of the men sneaks up behind him. He is shot before he can harm Gilas. Our male lead turns back and discovers he isn't alone. Evelyn is protecting him. He tells her not to kill them all, after all, they still need to question them. She tells him to look ahead, but doesn't notice the man behind her. Gilas saves her again and tells her to leave. He thinks she is distracting him. She refuses to listen to him and insists on staying. Even while fighting, they still argue. Gilas notices another man trying to harm her, and he rushes to save her. But this time, the attacker manages to stab him. The man gives a weird smile before dying. Evelyn is worried about the colonel. He calls her a disturbance and assures her he is fine, but he spoke too soon. He suddenly feels dizzy and almost falls. Evelyn rushes over. She looks at the dagger used to stab him and notices it is poisoned. She panics and tries to help the man. She begs him not to fall asleep and says he should keep looking at her. Those words remind Gilas of the past. Back then, Evelyn had begged him to be hers. She made him swear to always be loyal to her. The boy was confused because he already belonged to her. But Evelyn wanted something deeper. Promises meant nothing to her. She wanted him to make a vow before God and dedicate his whole body and soul to her. He would remain hers forever. The woman looking at him now overlaps with the girl in his memory who promised to always protect him. He never knew a demon like her could look so human. Evelyn keeps begging him to look at her. But who would tell her? Ever since that day, he had never looked away from her once. The colonel has been poisoned and is rushed to see the doctor. Our heroine is so worried she doesn't even notice Joshua when he tries to speak to her. Her focus is all on Gilas. After several hours, the surgery ends. The nuns comfort Evelyn and assure her that the colonel is fine. He has been given the antidote, and they only need to watch him for a while. But there is a bigger problem. The priests plan to cancel the ritual because of the attack. Evelyn isn't pleased. She tells the priests they will be disobeying the royal order. The priest refuses to continue because people were killed during the ritual. Evelyn isn't bothered and calls it a punishment. She questions the men, asking what they were doing while the crown prince was being attacked. If Joshua had been injured, they would have been arrested for treason. She advises them to keep quiet about the incident and complete the ritual. They also have to find the attacker that escaped and bring him back. If they make any more mistakes, they will be punished. The priests are terrified. Threatening the priest isn't enough, so she goes to terrorize the doctor. She wants to know Gilas' condition. The doctor says the man's injury isn't serious since the poison wasn't deadly. As long as the antidote works, Gilas would be fine. Evelyn wants to know when he will wake up, and the doctor says it will take a day. He wants to say something about the antidote, but he is too afraid. He decides to keep quiet. Evelyn might be as beautiful as a goddess, but when she is angry, she turns into a terrifying demon. They are having the nightly prayers, but Evelyn keeps forgetting her part. Joshua has to call her name several times before she hears him. He wonders why she is so concerned about Gilas. She claims she is just afraid the Archduke will use the incident against them, but we all know it is a lie. Our heroine is thinking about the attack. She finds it very suspicious. They claim to be targeting Joshua, but they seemed like amateurs. There are too many questions, and she misses Gilas. She prays he wakes up quickly and her prayers are answered. She enters her room and sees the man sitting on her bed. In another room at the temple, the doctor complains about how scary Evelyn is. The priest agrees. He wants to know what the doctor planned to tell Evelyn about the antidote. The man says everything would be fine if Gilas didn't wake up before the medicine's effects fade, but if he wakes up before it does, he will be under an aphrodisiac effect. Well, it is happening already. Our male lead is awake and even moves around. Evelyn scolds him and says he should go back to bed, but the man approaches her. He suddenly leans over and starts kissing her neck. He is very jealous as he can smell Joshua's scent on her. Evelyn is annoyed and says he isn't in his right mind. Our hero laughs. He hasn't been in his right mind since she abandoned him 10 years ago. He suddenly chokes her. He has been enduring everything, waiting for this moment. Evelyn isn't scared and asks if he plans to kill her. Unfortunately, he has worse plans for her. He suddenly leans down and bites her neck. He says killing her is only temporary. What he really wants is to watch her suffer and remain in despair. While they argue, Joshua suddenly comes over. The couple is actually talking about him. Our male lead is tired of seeing the boy clinging to Evelyn and plans to twist his neck off. Just then, the innocent boy knocks on the door. He wants to see Evelyn. Gilas is happy to hear this. It looks like his prayers have been answered. Joshua knocks on the door and requests to see Evelyn. He has no idea what unholy things are going on behind that door. Gilas is ready to head out and beat that little boy, but Evelyn stops him. She tells Joshua she is awake, but she isn't dressed properly. She refuses to open the door. He apologizes for disturbing her and reveals he is worried. He noticed how troubled she was ever since the colonel fainted. Of course, Gilas is pleased to hear this and asks if it is true. She says it was only because of the attack. She tells Joshua she just needs to rest and advises him to do the same. Gilas is jealous. He calls the prince a coward who needs Evelyn's comfort. She pushes him away and warns him to leave before he makes a mistake. The man doesn't listen. Instead, he moves closer. His actions make Evelyn blush. Outside, Joshua can hear some strange noises and suddenly asks if she's alone. Evelyn is shocked because she thought he had left. He says he heard a noise and decided to return. Gilas is annoyed by how stubborn the kid is. He is about to open the door, but Evelyn stops him again. She tells Joshua she was just praying. Meanwhile, she whispers and warns Gilas not to do anything stupid, like the man would listen. He suddenly starts kissing her neck. Joshua is really stubborn. He refuses to leave and offers to stand outside and recite prayers with Evelyn. He keeps talking, but Evelyn can't hear him. Gilas is being naughty, and she can't control herself. The prince really begins to recite the prayers. He expects Evelyn to read with him, but our heroine is experiencing a different kind of pleasure. She tells him to leave, but he insists on reading the last page. Gilas teases Evelyn, telling her to ask Joshua for help. Who knows? The kid might be able to rescue her from this hell. But Evelyn doesn't need any rescuing. She hugs Gilas back and tells him she is ready to fall into hell with him. The man is very pleased, so he puts more effort into pleasuring her. She continues reciting the prayers with Joshua, but I don't think God is listening. After a long time, Joshua finally realizes something is wrong. Still, he refuses to leave. He continues reading the prayers while our couple starts kissing. He finally finishes the passage and decides to leave. Inside the room, our couples have just started their night. We see the attacker who escaped after trying to kill the crown prince. He runs into the forest and heads to their meeting point. But he is disappointed. He is the only one who survived. He blames the monster-like colonel. He is still complaining when a man steps out. It is a member of the Red Hawk Society. He asks the assassin if he is alone, and the attacker says all his members died. He blames the Red Hawks for not telling him about the colonel and demands 3 times his payment. He doesn't notice he has been surrounded, and when he does, it is too late. The man is frightened and finally realizes these weren't the people who hired him. The leader of the Red Hawks says he is right. The ones who hired him were imposters. This is the real Red Hawk Brotherhood. He approaches the assassin with a knife. The man defends himself and says he only accepted the job because they offered him a lot of money. He doesn't look back and is suddenly stabbed from behind. The Brotherhood leader wants to know who hired the killers and why they pretended to be from the Brotherhood. But the assassin really doesn't know. They never met the clients and only spoke through a middleman. He begs the leader to pity him. He reminds him that the Brotherhood is supposed to support the citizens. He wants to destroy the nobles and the royal family, so he is on the same team as the Brotherhood. The leader tells him the truth. Since his client didn't show up, that means the assassins were all supposed to die. He tells him the Brotherhood hates people like him who abandon their teammates and escape alone. The killer looks around and notices the members are all holding daggers. Inside the temple, Gilas is still kissing Evelyn. She slaps him, injuring his face. He doesn't stop, but instead grabs her and moves over to the bed. Outside, the leader demands to know who gave the orders and why they pretended to be from the Brotherhood. He suspects they were the ones who instructed Joseph and left the Red Hawk symbol everywhere in the city. The Brotherhood members all seem angry and take turns stabbing the killer. The leader accuses him of defiling the will of the Red Hawks. They were supposed to hide until the time of the revolution, but the man has disrupted their plans. Our couple is still going strong and our heroine stops resisting. They have probably tried all 50 positions at this point. They have no idea their assassin is begging for mercy. He suddenly pulls the leader's shirt open and we see his chest is full of scars. Back in the room, Gilas also takes off his shirt. His scars are almost the same as the Brotherhood's leader. Could Gilas be part of the Red Hawks? Our male lead is having a nightmare. He imagines Evelyn kissing a man, except it isn't him. He wakes up in his bed alone. The priest checks on him and is surprised to find him awake. He tells Gilas he has been asleep for 3 days and takes him out for breakfast. The colonel is curious and asks if he has really been asleep. The priest confirms he has been alone in his room. Our male lead is confused because he clearly remembers sleeping with Evelyn. He thinks it is just a dream and goes out to have breakfast. Evelyn and Joshua are also eating, but it is a very annoying sight. The prince keeps feeding her. Our heroine should be an actress. She notices Gilas and acts surprised to see him awake. She says he is recovering so fast he doesn't seem human. Gilas, the non-human, tells her it is part of his job. Evelyn is annoyed and calls him a monster. When he asks if anything happened last night, our heroine becomes anxious. She claims he slept all day and insists he must have been talking in his sleep. She tries to leave but suddenly trips. She almost falls, but Joshua rushes to catch her. He is worried she might have tired herself out last night. The scarf around her neck falls off and our male lead is shocked to see some hickeys. He knocks his food over and rushes to her side. He wants to know how she got these marks. Gilas is shocked to see the marks on Evelyn's neck and immediately questions her. The crown prince is annoyed, but Evelyn is even more furious. She slaps the man hard, angry at him for touching her. She thinks he has forgotten his place after the incident and warns him not to touch her again. Everyone is shocked. They never expected things to turn violent. They try to calm down the nobles and separate them. Gilas is already bleeding, but Evelyn doesn't care. She orders the servants to prepare the carriage and is ready to return to the palace. The carriage ride is awkward. Gilas finally apologizes. He blames the innocent medicine and claims he was still drugged. Evelyn is annoyed and calls him a fool. She accuses him of failing his duties. Instead of being an escort, he took a holiday. She says mean things, but when their legs touch, she becomes shy again. She quickly moves away and says she is sleepy, but we can see her blushing. Our heroine really falls asleep, but her head keeps hitting the glass. Gilas is worried and tries to help her, but Joshua interferes. He places Evelyn's head on his shoulder. He tells Gilas the lady prayed through the night and got too tired. He thanks the colonel for saving him, but suddenly turns scary. He tells Gilas he wouldn't tolerate it if he acts rudely to Evelyn again. This isn't an order as the crown prince, but a warning as his fellow man. They arrive at the palace, and Victor welcomes them happily. He boasts about how well he managed the state affairs and claims they don't have to worry. He has heard the rumors about the incident and asks about it. Evelyn denies everything. She says they have received the holy oil for the coronation, so Victor has nothing to worry about. Well, the Archduke isn't really worried. He calls himself an understanding man and claims he isn't troubled. Instead, Evelyn should be worried. The rest of the council are old men who really love their rules. He tells her the guest room in the separate palace has been prepared. From now on, she will be staying in the palace. Evelyn refuses and says she has to return home to handle her affairs. Victor tells her it was the king's order. The king's birthday banquet is coming up, and there are a lot of things to prepare. He is going to need Evelyn's help, so it would be better if she stayed in the palace. He doesn't allow her to argue and simply tells the soldiers to escort her to her room. Evelyn is annoyed and immediately sends away the palace maids he assigned her. They try to insist on staying, but she scares them away with a cold look. Our heroine is actually frustrated. She thinks Victor is trying to trap her in the palace so he can monitor her actions. He won't even let her visit her mansion. This is basically a prison. But she has no time to think about such things. She needs to prepare the banquet's guest list and find a fiancé for Joshua. I don't think the boy would like that. Some of the files fall off the table. Evelyn struggles to pick them up, but someone steps on them. She looks up and sees Gilas. He heard about Evelyn dismissing the servants and reminded her that they are just following orders. She has scared them so much that no one is willing to serve her again. Our male lead is here to offer up his services. He plans to serve her personally. Evelyn refuses. She doesn't want to bother him since he is still sick. The man tells her not to worry since it won't be troubling him. Evelyn is confused until Gilas tells her the worst news ever. His room is right next to hers. Our male lead tells Evelyn his room is right next door, and she begins to laugh and panic. She thinks he is purposely annoying her, and she can't stand it anymore. She orders him to leave, but somehow manages to trip over her dress and falls to the floor. How embarrassing. The man is concerned, but she warns him to stay away. She tries to stand up, but this time she knocks over a vase. Gilas has had enough and tells her not to move. He begins to pick up the pieces of glasses and confesses he was just joking. His room isn't next door. He was just playing around and didn't expect her to overreact. Evelyn says that wasn't an overreaction. In fact, she would rather stay in a mental hospital than spend time with Gilas and his jokes. The man isn't bothered and hands over her shoes. He can tell she is anxious, but she denies it. She tries to fix her shoes, but her ankles are twisted. Gilas offers to help and grabs her little feet. The lady tries to pretend she is calm, but we can tell she is flustered. Our male lead suddenly becomes romantic. He tells her to lean on his shoulder the next time she wants to fall. Evelyn is shocked and looks at him. His face reminds her of their wild night, so she quickly looks away. The man stares at her, but she keeps avoiding his gaze. She is saved when the maid interrupts them and announces lunch is ready. Gilas is ready to support her, but Evelyn quickly runs away. No one would believe her ankle was injured. This is the most awkward meal ever. Our couple is having lunch with Joshua, and somehow, Lady Sonia has joined them. Thankfully, Victor is missing. Otherwise, a war would have started. Evelyn says she wants to speak to Sonia, which frightens the poor girl. When she asks why, Evelyn says it is because she looks pure. That is a lie, guys. The truth is that our heroine saw the girl fussing over Gilas. She praises her now and calls her a lovely lady. It turns out Sonia was the one who planned this gathering. She prepared this meal to help them relax. Wrong choice, girl. She is very curious about their trip and wants to know how it went. Our heroine smiles, but it is very scary. She says Sonia must have wished something bad would happen. The poor girl is accused and is angry. She was just asking out of concern. Evelyn laughs and assures her that nothing went wrong. But when she asks Gilas, he says he was unconscious for 4 days. Sonia stands up in shock and demands to know what happened. Evelyn scolds her for losing her manners and says she shouldn't be worried over something unimportant. Sonia argues with her and says Gilas's health is important. Our heroine tells her that nothing is more important than tradition. Their task was to fulfill the royal command and make sure Joshua was recognized as the heir. Everything else is useless. Sonia is annoyed by her behavior. She actually thinks Evelyn might have planned the attack since Gilas is part of Victor's team. She tells the woman to prove her innocence. Our heroine finds it funny. She thinks justice is for the lowly and desperate people. Sonia is shocked by her words. If the people heard it, she could be stoned to death. Evelyn tells the girl she has no right to accuse her. She reminds Sonia that the beautiful dress she is wearing and the tea she is drinking were made with the blood of laborers. She calls the girl a hypocrite. Gilas interrupts them and tells them to stop. He promises Sonia he will report everything during the military meeting. But he won't report the incident. As Evelyn said, anything besides fulfilling the royal command is unimportant. The woman understands his words and accuses him of making things difficult for her. He reminds her he is just doing his duties. Instead, she is behaving strangely. The two start a glaring contest until Joshua interrupts them. He ends the gathering and tells Evelyn to follow him. He holds her shoulders and takes her away. Meanwhile, Sonia rushes to Gilas and starts fussing over him. The two ladies do not notice the men glaring at each other. Evelyn returns to the study with Joshua but is still worried. She thinks Gilas must be planning something evil. The Crown Prince doesn't think the Colonel is scheming, but Evelyn tells him not to trust Gilas. The man might look cold, but he is actually very scheming in private. She has exposed herself and Joshua becomes suspicious. She seems to know the Colonel too well. He wants to know if she has a relationship with the man. Evelyn denies it, but the prince has noticed how concerned she is about Gilas. Our heroine has the perfect excuse. Gilas is Victor's closest assistant. She has to pay attention to him so he doesn't catch her off guard. She is done talking about the man and hands Joshua a list. The boy looks confused until she explains it is a list of potential brides. She wants him to get engaged before the coronation. Evelyn is trying to know Joshua's taste and asks him to describe his potential bride. But when he does, she is shocked. He says the lady must be blonde and good at chess. He is nervous, but our heroine doesn't notice it. She asks about the age range and he says he wouldn't mind if his wife was a widow. Our silly girl doesn't know he is talking about her and is surprised by his choice. But she realizes it when he pulls her chair closer. He says his wife must have green eyes and should be close to him. Turns out Joshua's obsession with Evelyn didn't just begin years ago. He watched her marry Rowan and prayed to the gods to take away his love for her. His only wish then was to hide those feelings, but now he exposes them. He tries to kiss Evelyn, but she pushes him away in fright. She tries to run away, but almost falls over. He catches her, but she begs him to stop. Joshua hides his pain by laughing. He lets her go and apologizes for scaring her. He pretends it was just a prank he played so he could make her laugh. After warning her not to overwork herself, he runs away. The next day, Evelyn is still bothered by what happened. She can't focus during her meeting with Victor, and he has to call her name several times. The man is hurt because she keeps ignoring his handsome face. He has someone to introduce to her and tells the man to come in. Evelyn is shocked when she sees the man Victor invited, Count Cain Ashford. He was the second son of the Ashford family and was very popular among the people. He joined the church but was accused of stealing and expelled. The people loved him so much they blamed the church. Ashford returned to his family and kicked his elder brother out. He took over the family's business, expanded it, and became the richest man in their region. Evelyn knows how scheming he is. He managed to weaken the church and gain the people's support. Even his expulsion couldn't destroy him. LPH might be a sly man, but he is very capable. Joshua isn't happy to see Ashford. He knows the man was expelled from the church and questions his presence. Victor says he brought him in to help with the banquet preparations. Ashford eagerly offers his help. He tells Joshua it would be his greatest joy to assist him. He even pulls the innocent Gilas over to support him. Evelyn tries to protest, but Joshua stops her. He decides to handle it himself. Okay, boy, but let go of our heroine's hand. Joshua challenges Victor and asks if the king is aware. The Archduke says they can't inform the king of every issue. The prince tells him he is disobeying the church and king by bringing Ashford back. Victor finds his words funny. He proudly says he is just ignoring the old traditions and planning for a better future. Well, it isn't funny anymore when Joshua accuses him of being a rebel. Victor finally becomes annoyed. The two men look like they are about to fight until Evelyn interrupts them. She tells them to gather the Triumvirate. It is a council of representatives from the nobles, the church, and the commoners. Evelyn suggests they invite them to a meeting and discuss this issue. Ashford thinks the meeting is for him, but Evelyn says she has something to announce. She plans to donate all her properties and return to the monastery. The meeting is over, but Joshua is still in shock. He questions Evelyn, but she tells him she has made up her mind. The nobles and citizens all support the Archduke. Right now, they can only rely on the church. Joshua doesn't want her to sacrifice herself. He feels guilty and thinks she is trying to escape because of what happened last night. Evelyn ignores his words and scolds him for challenging the Archduke. He doesn't regret it because he was trying to help her. But Evelyn doesn't need his help. To her, everyone is just a chess piece on a game board. Joshua is hurt by how cold-hearted she is, but he isn't the same. She isn't a chess piece to him, but his future wife. He is hurt that the woman he loves only sees him as the king's heir. Our heroine tells him he is behaving like a spoiled child and sends him back to his room. She passes a corner only to see Gilas standing there. He doesn't seem ashamed to be caught eavesdropping. Evelyn wants to know who brought Ashford over, but he refuses to answer. She tells the man to visit her room at midnight. Joshua blames himself. He is afraid his actions might have caused Evelyn trouble and decides to visit her room and apologize. He remembers her calling him a child and suddenly starts crying. He wipes his tears and heads over to the woman's room to win her back. He doesn't want to disturb her, but he can't rest until the misunderstanding is cleared. He begs the gods to help him. He arrives at Evelyn's room only to see her door open. He looks inside but receives another heartbreak. Years ago, he watched Evelyn kiss Rowan. This time, he catches her kissing Gilas. Gilas arrives in Evelyn's room and wants to know why she summoned him. She shows him a newspaper. After Ashford was expelled from the church, a paper was published to show all his crimes. However, the papers were destroyed immediately and all news was blocked. The colonel doesn't understand why she is telling him this. She says he has to drive Ashford out. He questions why he should do it, and she tells him it is for his good. Gilas is sure she doesn't care about him and wants to know the real reason. She calls him by his nickname and tells him to listen to her. He finds it funny. She is really doing her best to manipulate him. He suggests she ask Cain Ashford to help her instead. Everyone knows how much the man loves women. If Evelyn calls for him, he would rush over immediately. Evelyn teases Gilas and says his plan might work, but she finds it too boring. She pulls him close, but he pushes her away. He is going to pretend like this never happened because it is just a waste of his time. The next day, Ashford is introduced to Sonia and the man almost drools. He kisses her hands many times and praises her beauty. The girl is obviously uncomfortable, and she looks at the culprit who arranged this meeting. Evelyn. Our heroine isn't bothered by the chaos she caused. Her excuse? She was bored and decided to invite Sonia for some tea. Ashford isn't ashamed to sit with the ladies and joins them. Evelyn encourages him and even mentions his marriage, finding it a pity he is still single. Sonia interrupts them and wants to know why she was invited. Evelyn's plan is simple. She wants the two to become marriage partners. Joshua is at the training ground. He is dueling with Max, but his mind is a mess. He doesn't pay attention and almost kills the poor boy. He apologizes, but Max has noticed he is distracted. He asks Joshua about it, but the prince refuses to speak. Just then, Gilas and Derek arrive. Gilas has no idea he has become Joshua's new rival. He received an order from the Archduke to clear the practice area. He apologizes and offers to escort the prince to another spot, but Joshua refuses. He tells Gilas this isn't the military, so he has no right to interfere. He accuses the colonel of belittling him. Our male lead is confused because he is just following orders. He assures the prince he has no personal feelings. Joshua doesn't believe him and asks him one question. He wants to know if he loves Evelyn. Inside the palace, Sonia is throwing a tantrum. She tells Evelyn her uncle has chosen Gilas as her fiancé. Our heroine doesn't believe the engagement is real. It must have been planned by Victor to attract public attention. She thinks he will change his mind now that Ashford is here. Sonia denies it and declares her love for Gilas. She is dealt a harsh blow when Evelyn asks her if the man loves her. She believes he will one day, but Evelyn tells her it is impossible. Gilas is a soldier, so he would feel responsible for his wife. He will train himself to protect her as a husband, but he would never love her. Sonia is furious. She almost jumps over the table as she scolds Evelyn. She says the woman doesn't know what love is and promises to make Gilas hers. Evelyn finds it funny. If Gilas really loved her, Sonia wouldn't be so afraid. At the training ground, the men are also confronting each other. Gilas says he doesn't love Evelyn, but Joshua doesn't believe him. He has seen the way Gilas looks at her. He wants to know what the colonel was doing in Evelyn's room last night. Sonia is furious. She thinks Evelyn has no right to insult her love. She calls our heroine a terrible person and hopes she dies in loneliness. Evelyn isn't hurt by her mean words. She tells the girl a harsh truth. She has no right to speak about love. She is just a pitiful pawn being moved around on a chessboard. A pawn like her has no choice but to obey the Archduke's commands. That is the only way she will survive. Joshua wants to know why Gilas was in Evelyn's room at night. Our male lead tells him to visit her himself. Who knows? Evelyn might pity a child like him. Since he looks like her dead husband, she might finally accept him. Evelyn tells Sonia to keep begging for love. Someone might take pity on a beggar like her one day and show her some affection. Sonia loses her mind. She grabs her cup and pours the tea on Evelyn. She warns her to shut up and calls her a devilish witch. Meanwhile, Joshua throws a sword at Gilas and challenges him to a duel. At this moment, our couple really seem like devils. Ashford is panicking. He rushes to find Victor and begs him to go to the drawing room. Right now, Evelyn is beating his cousin up. Over at Gilas' side, the crown prince challenges him to a duel. He orders Max and Derek to be the judges. Our male lead is ready to battle and tells Joshua to pick his sword. The prince adds a rule. This is going to be a death match. The duel won't end until one of them surrenders or dies. Max is terrified and begs Derek to stop the duel, but the soldier refuses to interfere. Since both men have agreed, he can't stop them. The truth is, Derek is actually afraid. The colonel looks so scary right now. If he interferes, he would be the one killed. Evelyn is also having her duel. She makes Sonia kneel and drags the girl's hair. The lady is furious. She believes her uncle will avenge her and calls Evelyn a demon. Well, our girl rewards her with a cute slap. She thinks Sonia is rude and stupid. She wants the girl to repeat the mean words she said. Sonia calls her a witch and says she will burn in hell. Evelyn rewards her with another slap. She mocks Sonia's love and thinks it is worthless and foolish. She is suffering and crying, yet her love cannot save her. Sonia refuses to defend her love. She would rather speak to a wall than explain her love to a witch like Evelyn who knows nothing about it. She boldly says the Duchess cannot break her. Our heroine is amused. She tells Sonia her love makes her ugly. Joshua and Gilas begin their duel. Max expects the match to end quickly and is surprised to see his friend holding on. He thinks it must be a miracle. Derek isn't pleased because the fight is taking too long. Max thinks the Colonel is playing around with Joshua, which is why the match hasn't ended. But Derek doesn't think so. The Colonel looks really serious. Just then, Gilas almost hits the boy. He praises his skill and gives him some advice. His words make Joshua annoyed, and he attacks the Colonel again. Victor arrives, and he is surprised to see this mess. Sonia is relieved to see him and begs him to help her. He scolds Evelyn for fighting over a small argument. The Duchess insists this is a serious issue. The king has appointed her Duchess of Winter, yet a count's daughter dares to challenge her. She says the girl has disturbed the noble status. Since Victor failed to teach his cousin, she disciplined the girl for him. But the beating wasn't enough, and she demands an apology from Sonia. Gilas and Joshua are still fighting. This time, our male lead punches the boy's face. He mocks Joshua for being weak. Since he has decided to kill him, he must face the consequences. Victor tries to laugh it off. He says the title was just a verbal announcement from the king, and she isn't a duchess yet. Our heroine tells him he is treating the king's order as a joke and accuses him of treason. Victor is furious. He rushes over to Evelyn and raises his hand to hit her. But the Duchess isn't afraid. The man gives up and places a flower on her. He agrees to apologize and calls Sonia over. The girl doesn't want to, but Victor looks so scary. She can't refuse. Joshua isn't winning, so he tries to distract the Colonel. He calls him a lowborn with no honor. Such words can't affect Gilas. He even agrees with the prince. Because he has no honor, he has managed to survive for many years. Joshua's plan works, and he knocks Gilas' sword off. He is excited and tells the Colonel to prepare his last words, but the man isn't scared. He even smiles. Sonia bows before Evelyn and begs for her forgiveness. Our heroine pretends to be very forgiving, but she still calls the girl uneducated and unmannered. She warns her to learn from today's lesson and change her behavior. She throws the flower back at Victor and leaves happily. The Archduke is furious. Sonia feels guilty and apologizes to him. He comforts her and promises to repay this humiliation tenfold. Evelyn is annoyed because her clothes are a mess. She doesn't get a chance to rest as Max rushes over. He begs her to head over to the training ground and stop the men's duel. Joshua has knocked Elis' sword off and is about to stab him. Evelyn arrives and she orders them to stop. She scolds the men for playing around. Gilas is smart and keeps silent, but Joshua tries to defend himself. Well, Evelyn corrects him with a slap. She isn't happy because Joshua was too reckless. The boy feels wronged since he was just trying to defend her. He couldn't watch the woman he loves be insulted. But that is what Evelyn wants him to do. Instead, he lost his temper over a simple insult and allowed Gilas to provoke him. He even fought even though he knew he wouldn't win. Joshua is annoyed by those words and says he would have won if she hadn't stopped him. She explains what would have happened. The rumors about the duel would have spread before the meeting. Since the church dislikes duels, they would have withdrawn their support for him. Well, the prince clearly didn't think that far. Evelyn tells him he would have fallen into a trap just because of an insult. Joshua finally understands and drops his sword. He apologizes and promises to reflect on himself. But before he leaves, he warns Evelyn to stop trying to control his emotions. Gilas also apologizes, but Evelyn isn't as gentle with him. She thinks he purposely provoked Joshua into a duel, but would pretend to lose because of his injuries. He designed this trap so the prince would be disliked and lose his supporters. She wonders if he is really willing to sacrifice himself just for the Archduke. Gilas refuses to answer, so she leaves in annoyance. She thinks he is a lowly man who fights with a child. Gilas defends himself and says it was the crown prince who provoked him first. He says Joshua asked him if he loved her. To him, those words were an insult. Evelyn isn't bothered and advises him to go to the drawing room to comfort his fiancée. Gilas goes to see Sonia. She starts crying immediately she sees him. She hugs him and complains about Evelyn. The Duchess had tried to force her to marry Ashford, but she refused because of her love for him. Gilas doesn't care about her confession and wants to know where Ashford is. As soon as he gets the location, he tells Derek to accompany Sonia and leaves. The girl starts complaining again until Derek promises her the Colonel will return. She is happy and starts planning their dinner. She wants to know what Gilas likes. Meanwhile, the man is thinking of Evelyn. He remembers her asking him to chase Ashford and wonders what she is planning. A few days pass and it is finally time for the Triumvirate meeting. The citizens, the church, and the nobles have arrived. The meeting begins and Victor announces the king's decision to make Evelyn a duchess and the chairwoman of the council. The men refuse to accept this. They start murmuring and complaining. Some even accuse her of trying to seduce the crown prince. They believe she is supporting him so she can become his queen. Evelyn knows what they are discussing and makes another announcement. She says her authority is only valid under the current king. Once Joshua claims the throne, she will abandon the title and donate all her assets to the people and the church. She is even willing to return to the monastery. The council is shocked to hear this. Evelyn is convinced she has won their support. The nobles and the church will have to support the crown prince if they want her wealth. Victor praises her and says her decision has moved him. He also makes an announcement. From now on, he will stop fighting for the throne. Everyone is shocked, except the soldiers. Victor mocks Evelyn and asks her to fake a smile. Victor makes an announcement and declares he is giving up on the throne. Our heroine isn't happy. She doesn't believe Victor will really step down. Joshua is also shocked and questions Victor's motives. The Archduke claims he is trying to bring peace. Only a legitimate child should take the throne. Evelyn isn't convinced. She is sure the man is planning something. He proves her right when he says he has another announcement. He wants to create a citizens' council. Evelyn knows what Victor is planning. The citizens' council allows the people to express their thoughts about the government. They control the public opinion and can even control the government itself. Evelyn believes Victor is trying to weaken the royal family's power. She immediately disagrees. She tells him there is a process to follow since the members must all be educated. He accuses her of looking down on the citizens and favoring the nobles. He makes a speech and tells the people it is time for a change. He says other countries have abandoned the royal rule and are progressing faster. He accuses Evelyn of being a coward who clings to old rules. He tells the people a new era is coming. They will be left behind if they continue to rely on the royal family. It is time for them to change and create a new country. He claims the new era begins with the citizens and encourages them to support the Citizens' Council. The people are moved and cheer for him, but Evelyn isn't deceived. She believes he is trying to weaken the royal family. He denies and says the royal authority will become stronger if they listen to the citizens' opinions. He is ready to become the bridge between the royals and the people. His wish is to create a fair country. Evelyn is annoyed because she knows he is pretending, but the citizens will see him as a hero who is willing to abandon the throne for the people's sake. Victor is also feeling proud. He waits for Evelyn to submit and accept her defeat. He is ready to give her an empty throne and let her live a life beneath him. But our heroine is smart. She has noticed Victor's plan. What he really wants is military rule. He will pretend to be the people's representative and use his position as chief of the army to take control over Aldrich. But Evelyn is ready to ruin his plan. She praises his speech but reminds him he is already the chief commander of the army. She is afraid he might abuse the military power. Victor says the military is just a tool. Gilas supports him and tells her their job is to protect the nation and the people. That is what Evelyn wants. She laughs and announces her support for the Citizens' Council. She even praises Victor for caring for the people. The man feels smug until she makes another suggestion. Since he has already agreed to be the people's representative, his position of military commander has to be given to someone else. They need another representative who can represent the people and resist the nobles' control. The people are surprised and wonder where they can find such a person. Well, there is one right in front of them. Evelyn reminds them of Gilas. He is a famous war hero who fought his way to the top. He is the perfect person to take over the military. Evelyn believes she has won. No one will reject her suggestion. If Victor refuses, he will expose himself and reveal his love for power. She says she is just trying to lessen his work. She reminds him he has renounced his claim to the throne. He will still enjoy the glory of the nobility, but he won't have any military power. She has used his trap against him. Right now, he will remain stuck in his position as the people's representative. He has lost both the throne and his position in the military. Since he tried to weaken the royal family's power, Evelyn is ready to make him a puppet. Victor is extremely angry. He schedules a meeting with Derek and Gilas and leaves. He thinks about Evelyn and makes up his mind. He is going to get rid of her. Evelyn has no idea her life is being threatened and is relaxing after the tough battle. She knows things will still be troublesome, but at least they have more time. It suddenly starts raining. She goes over to shut the windows only to see someone standing outside. Evelyn almost faints from shock. It is our male lead, and he steps into the room. She wonders how he got here and calls him crazy. He says she is the crazy one. He believes she doesn't understand what she has done. Evelyn tries to joke about it and says he must have celebrated his promotion. She thinks he is here to thank her, but the man warns her to leave. He seems desperate as he hugs her and begs her to run away. Enjoying this? Comment Mad Dog below for part 3. Until next time, ciao!